Izuku Midoriya, the Herald of Unicron. Past bio. Name, Izuku Yagi. Parents, Inko Yagi and Toshinori Yagi. Siblings, Izumi Yagi. Nicknames, Izu-chan, Nerd, Dikairu, Zuzu, Izu, Mophead. Age, 4. Likes, heroes, friends, his family, watching All Might, his aunts and uncles. Dislikes, bullies, villains. Quirk status, quirkless. New bio. Name, Izuku Scourge Midoriya. Parents, Hisashi Midoriya, deceased, Unicron, mentor adopted father. Siblings, Izumi Yagi, Battle Trap, and Nightbird. Age, 16. Likes, 1B, his daughter, training, learning about the original Scourge, the Terrorcons, pulling pranks on his classmates, hunting criminals. Dislikes, 1A, Aldera Middle School, the Yagi family except Izumi, disrespect towards his mentor, villains, fake heroes. Quirk power status, Cybertronian hybrid. Description. Izuku Yagi faced neglect and mistreatment from those around him for being quirkless. For 10 years, he endured bullying and hardship, feeling invisible and unwanted. His sister, Izumi, provided him with food and care, while their parents turned a blind eye to his suffering. Izuku had long given up on his dreams of becoming a hero, resigned to a life of pain. Chapter 1, Unicron Son Reborn. Izuku reflected on the harsh words he had heard for years: useless, brat, quirkless freak. These insults had defined his existence since he was labeled quirkless. He had been bullied, beaten, and felt utterly alone. Despite the torment, his sister had always been there for him, offering support when their parents failed him. One day, as he endured yet another attack from his so-called friends, he felt a familiar sense of despair wash over him. Bakugo, one of his tormentors, taunted him, and the others joined in, pushing him to his limits. Izuku's heart sank as he realized he was fading away, both physically and emotionally. As the assault continued, Izumi watched in horror, her heart breaking for her brother. She couldn't understand how anyone could treat him this way. When it seemed that Izuku had lost consciousness, the group fell silent, realizing the gravity of what they had done. Izumi stepped forward, her voice trembling with emotion. She confronted the group, demanding to know why they had targeted her brother. With a fierce determination, she declared that they had crossed a line that could never be uncrossed. In the aftermath, Izumi cradled her brother's lifeless body, mourning the loss of the brother she loved dearly. As she wept, a mysterious presence enveloped Izuku, awakening him in a strange, ethereal realm. "Awaken, my child," a voice echoed, and Izuku opened his eyes to see a figure with bright yellow eyes. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. "I am Unicron," the figure replied. "I brought you here for a reason." Izuku was taken aback. "Why am I here?" "There is no need for formalities, young one. Just call me Unicron. I know everything about you, as I am the very core of your planet." Izuku listened intently as Unicron shared the story of his existence, revealing the ancient conflict between himself and his brother, Primus. He learned that he was part of a much larger narrative, one that transcended his own suffering. As the tale unfolded, Izuku felt a spark of hope ignite within him. Perhaps this was not the end, but a new beginning. Unicron explained that after his defeat, he chose to let go of his hatred towards his brother and wandered until he reached the solar system where Earth resides. There, he decided to do something good and transformed himself into the very planet. During his journey, he met 3 Cybertronians, Scourge, Battle Trap, and Nightbird, who had been banished from their home. After hearing their hardships, he took on the role of a surrogate father, raising them with love and care. However, tragedy struck when a Cybertronian soldier named Ultra Magnus killed Scourge, mistaking his dark appearance for malice while he was out gathering souvenirs for Unicron. Izuku, feeling a deep sense of compassion for Unicron, could relate to the pain of losing someone close. He recalled the loss of his pet puppy, which had been taken from him in a cruel manner. Unicron lamented, he was our shining light, and now we are lost. Confused, Izuku asked, we? A voice responded, he meant us, as Battletrap and Nightbird stepped forward to introduce themselves. Unicron gestured to Izuku, encouraging him to share his story. Izuku recounted the 10 years of bullying and neglect he had endured, and as he spoke, he saw the sadness and anger reflected in the optics of his new companions. When he finished, tears streamed down his face. Why? Why me? Izuku cried out in despair, questioning why he had to suffer while others thrived. Nightbird knelt beside him and embraced him gently. Let it out, Izuku. Surprised by the kindness, Izuku cried on Nightbird's chassis. After a moment, he calmed down and shared how they reminded him of his sister, Izumi, whom he could no longer see. Unicron then offered a proposition. When I found my children, Scourge's real name was Thundercracker, and I reformatted him to save him. I can do the same for you. Izuku, realizing the implications, asked, what do you mean by reformatted? Nightbird explained, when Father finds someone near death, he can heal them, but they will change in appearance and personality. Understanding the offer, Izuku agreed, thinking of his painful past. Unicron lifted him with telekinesis and began the reformatting process. As Izuku underwent the transformation, his injuries healed, but scars remained. His appearance shifted to that of a Cybertronian, with new features and a powerful presence. Unicron proudly declared, behold Scourge, as Izuku emerged, feeling different and stronger than ever. Scourge bowed to Unicron, acknowledging his new identity. Unicron revealed that he had learned about Izuku's true parentage, which shocked him. Izuku connected the dots, realizing the truth about his family and the betrayal he had faced. Unicron expressed his dissatisfaction with the injustices in the world, and Izuku urged him to calm down. After a moment, Unicron composed himself and asked Izuku if he wished to be his son. Taken aback, Izuku responded with a heartfelt yes, feeling honored by the offer. With a proclamation, Unicron announced the return of his son, and the Terrorcon drones celebrated. Nightbird and Battletrap were thrilled to have their family back together. As they prepared for their next steps, Izuku transformed into his Cybertronian form and expressed his desire to confront those who had wronged him. With Unicron's permission, they set out to show his so-called friends and family the consequences of their actions. Before leaving, Unicron gifted Izuku a shard of dark energon for emergencies and provided him with information on how to transform. With determination, Izuku set off, ready to reclaim his life. Back in Japan, Izuku's burial site was disturbed as Scourge emerged from the grave, ready to face the world anew. Scourge was about to leave when he noticed Izumi's bracelet in his servos. Suddenly, a portal appeared, and Nightbird and Battletrap emerged. I see you dug yourself out, Battletrap remarked. Indeed, Scourge replied, his optics fixed on his now undug grave, hidden by the trees. Nightbird asked, so what are we going to do now? Scourge turned his head toward them and smirked. Nightbird, search for the Yagi household. On it, she said, her wings extending as she took to the sky. Has the hunt begun? Battletrap inquired. Yes, brother. The hunt has begun, and no one can stop it. Nightbird landed and announced, I got the location, brother. Excellent. Now let's go, Scourge said. Nightbird transformed into her alternate mode, and through the communication network, Scourge urged, let's go. The Terrorcons drove towards the Yagi household. At the Yagi household, the family was celebrating Izumi's birthday, which coincidentally was also Izuku's birthday. The party was lively, filled with decorations, presents, and delicious food, attended by many guests, including the Todoroki family, the Yaoyorozu family, and the Bakugo family. However, amidst the festivities, a question arose that changed everything. Mitsuki asked, say Inko, where is Izuku? Inko responded, huh? What do you mean, Mitsuki? Who is Izuku? Everyone stopped and turned their attention to the two women. This isn't a joke, Inko. What do you mean by, who is Izuku? Mitsuki pressed. I'm being honest. I don't know who Izuku is, Inko replied. Izumi thought to herself, I knew they neglected him, but forgetting his existence. Mitsuki exclaimed, You're telling me you don't even remember your own son? Inko was shocked by Mitsuki's anger. What do you mean by son? Izuku. Your son. Mitsuki said, showing her a picture of Izuku and Izumi in All Might hoodies. Inko began to remember and fell to her knees, overwhelmed with emotion. Soon, tears streamed down Inko's face as she realized her mistake. Toshinori approached his wife, trying to comfort her. Inko, what's wrong? We messed up, Toshi. We messed up real bad, she sobbed. What do you mean? He asked. I'll tell you. Izumi interjected. The adults urged, Tell us what. Izumi proceeded to explain Izuku's life, shocking the adults and making them angry at their children for their actions. They were saddened that they hadn't noticed Izuku's condition earlier, but Izumi explained that he didn't want to burden them and had hoped they would change. The kids received intense glares from their parents for their treatment of Izuku. What is the meaning of this? Enji demanded. Dad, Shoto began, but was interrupted. Tuya punched Shoto, causing him to fall to the floor. Answer him, he shouted, but was held back by his mother, Rei. Please, Tuya, calm down, she pleaded. How can I? Izuku helped me fix my relationship with Dad, and this. Bullied him. Tuya exclaimed. Izumi stood by, watching the parents confront their children, while Inko and Toshinori made their way to Izuku's room. Inko called out, Izuku. It's Mom. Are you in there, sweetie? I'm coming in, sweetie, she said, opening the door and gasping at the sight before her. Inko fell to the floor, crying and repeating the word, no. As everyone rushed to see what had happened, they were met with a shocking scene. Izuku's room was dark, devoid of lights, a bed, or electronics. It was filled with blankets, a pillow, and clothes scattered across the floor, with the walls eroding and cobwebs in every corner. Izumi looked at Inko, who was crying, and said coldly, I thought you would at least remember his name. I guess my expectations were set too high for you, mother, her voice laced with bitterness. And don't even think about apologizing to him because you already lost that chance. What do you mean by that, Izumi? The adults asked. Izumi glanced at her so-called friends, who shook their heads, urging her not to reveal what had happened to Izuku. I'll tell you. Izuku is dead, she finished. This revelation sent Mitsuki into a rage, and she confronted Inko, ignoring her pleas to stop. Enji and Tuya struggled to contain their anger, while Izumi's aunts cried for the loss of their nephew. Gran Torino arrived and confronted Toshinori. How could you do this to your own son? You don't deserve to be the #1 hero, he shouted. Izumi asked, Grandpa Torino, what do you mean? Your father is the #1 hero of Japan, Izumi. Gran Torino explained. The kids were shocked. Gran Torino then began to recount Toshinori's past and the reality of his quirk, one for all. The group was furious, realizing not only had he neglected his son, but he had also crushed his dreams. Aizawa turned to Izumi and asked, Do you know where he is? Yes, I gave him a burial, but I think it's time for him to receive a proper one, Izumi replied. Agreed, Nizu said. One by one, everyone exited the Yagi household and entered their cars. Meanwhile, Toshinori contacted the HPSC Commission. They started their cars and headed towards Izuku's grave, unaware that the Terracons were watching from the tree-line. The journey to the burial site was silent, filled with anger and regret. They reached the forest where Izumi had buried her brother. Is this the place? Nizu asked, perched on Aizawa's shoulder. Izumi nodded. Just up this hill. He always liked the sunset from this place, so I thought it would be the best place for him to rest. As they began their trek, the Terracons observed from the shadows. Scourge thought to himself, she knew where to bury me. Brother? Nightbird called. Scourge turned to her. Yes. Is that girl with green hair your sister? She asked. Indeed, Nightbird. She is the only one who cared for me, aside from my aunts and uncles. Should we follow them, brother? Battletrap asked. Yes, let's go, Scourge replied, and they began to follow. When Izumi and the others reached the top of the hill, they saw the tree with Izuku's name engraved on it. Everyone stopped in their tracks, realizing that his grave had been disturbed. No, 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 no. Izumi cried, rushing towards the grave with tears in her eyes. Everyone stood behind her, processing the shocking turn of events. Izumi stood by her brother's grave, tears streaming down her face as she cried out in anguish. She felt a deep sorrow as the reality of her brother's fate weighed heavily on her heart. Who took his body away? He has already suffered enough, yet he can't even rest in peace. Is that too much to ask? Everyone present shared her grief, feeling the weight of her words as she cursed the circumstances that had led to this moment. All I ever wished for him was to live his life to the fullest. He made me promise that if he died, I should bury him here. With a surge of anger, Izumi used her quirk to lift her classmates into the air. But you monsters just had to make him suffer. All I hear today is, how do we live in a world without heroes? Well, he already had to. Her voice trembled with rage as she recalled the pain her brother endured. As she dropped her classmates to the ground, they groaned in pain, feeling the intensity of her emotions. The adults present felt ashamed of their children's actions, while a mysterious figure stepped forward from the shadows. It is indeed tragic that someone with such potential was lost to those who wore a facade of kindness, the figure said in a dark, mechanical tone. Everyone tensed, unsure of what to expect. I could have helped him become stronger, helped him reach his true potential. But alas, I was too late, he continued, his glowing optics piercing through the dim light. Bakugo, ever the confrontational one, stepped forward. And who are you? A villain. I am Scourge, he replied, and you are the one who allowed a child to be lost for a dream he abandoned. What do you mean? He always wanted to be a hero, one of the classmates protested. Actually, he gave up on that dream, Izumi interjected, her voice steady. He said he would rather be a teacher or a firefighter. Scourge nodded. See? She understood him better than you. All did. She helped him chart a new course in life, a course he never got to fulfill. The classmates were left speechless, grappling with the weight of his words. Izumi looked at Scourge, desperation in her eyes. Do you know what happened to my brother? I do, Scourge replied softly. He rose from the dead, transformed, and now wears a mask that symbolizes his new existence. Izumi's heart raced with hope. He's alive. Yes, little one, Scourge confirmed. Before she could ask where her brother was, Bakugo fired an explosion at Scourge, hitting him squarely. Aizawa quickly intervened, wrapping Scourge in his scarf and glaring at Bakugo. What were you thinking? I was taking care of a villain. Bakugo shot back. Nizu attempted to reason with him, but was cut off by a sudden blast that struck Bakugo, causing him to cry out in pain. As Scourge advanced, he addressed Bakugo with a chilling tone. You think you are worthy of the power you possess? You are nothing but a low-tier villain, and when I confront you, I will relish every moment. The group was stunned by Scourge's words, realizing the gravity of the situation. He stepped into the light, revealing himself to be a towering robot, capable of expressing emotions. Izumi noticed a familiar bracelet wrapped around his hand, the same one she had placed on her brother's grave. Perhaps one of you knows who I am? Scourge asked. I know who you really are, Scourge, Izumi replied, determination in her voice. And who do you think I am? He challenged. You're the one we've been searching for, aren't you? Izuku. Scourge chuckled softly. Clever girl. Mike, one of the adults, was skeptical. You can't be serious, Izumi. That machine isn't Izuku. Scourge turned to him. Uncle Mike, weren't you the one who stole the fruitcakes Aunt Ray made every Christmas? Ray gasped. That was you? Scourge continued, and Aunt Ray, didn't I help you and Fuyumi with chores around the house, and you treated me to pistachio and vanilla ice cream? Suddenly, the adults rushed to embrace Scourge, now revealing himself as Izuku. It's really you, Izuku, they exclaimed. Yes, it's me, he confirmed, returning their hugs. But how? The doctor said you were quirkless, Ray questioned. I'll explain later, but first, Battle Trap, Nightbird, show yourselves. Scourge commanded. The adults looked confused, but soon two other robots emerged from the trees, one with feminine features and another that was bulky. I'd like you to meet my crew and siblings, Battle Trap and Nightbird. Now, transform into your human forms. Okay, brother. Nightbird replied, shifting into her human form alongside Battle Trap. As Scourge transformed into his human form, Izuku looked at himself in awe. DMN, I look good. Izumi blushed at the sight of her brother, realizing how handsome he had become. Inko rushed toward Izuku, only for him to sidestep, causing her to stumble. Why did you dodge my hug? She asked, confused. I do not wish to be hugged by someone who betrayed my real father, Izuku replied sharply. Izumi was taken aback. What do you mean, Oni-chan? Izumi, I'm not actually your brother. I'm your stepbrother. My real father is Hisashi Midoriya, whom Inko cheated on with all might. Izumi's eyes widened in shock. Izuku continued, All Might killed my father with the help of the HPSC Commission. Bakugo scoffed. And where's your proof, Deku? Izuku smirked, his eyes glowing. Right here. A beam of light projected an image of All Might in a dark alley, committing an unforgivable act. The scene escalated as Enji confronted All Might, filled with rage over the betrayal of his best friend. Stand down, Uncle Enji, Scourge commanded, trying to maintain control. The tension in the air was palpable as everyone processed the revelations that had just unfolded. Scourge warned that if they killed him, he would become a martyr for Japan. Instead, he suggested they break and humiliate him, making him nothing more than a man for the world to see. Enji slowly began to understand the implications of Scourge's words. He looked at Toshinori and then turned to his family, stating they were leaving. Shoka hesitated, but Rei insisted she listen to her father. Reluctantly, Shoka agreed and left with her family. As the families departed, only Izuku, Nightbird, Battle Trap, and the Yagi family remained, along with Aizawa and Nizu. Izuku transformed into his Cybertronian form and prepared to leave with Nightbird and Battle Trap. Inko called out to her son, but Aizawa interrupted, leading her away. Izumi looked at Toshinori with disappointment, expressing her belief that he was no longer the great hero he once was before leaving for home. Toshinori sighed, picking up Inko as they prepared to depart. Chapter 3, The Mission and Return. 2 years after the previous events, Izuku had grown accustomed to his Cybertronian body and began hunting criminals under his father Unicron's orders. During this time, Nizu contemplated blacklisting Izuku's tormentors but found himself in a heated discussion with the HPSC president, who insisted on enrolling Class 1A at UA. In a flashback, Nizu expressed disbelief at the president's request to enroll the students, reminding her of their past actions. The president argued that they could not waste potential heroes, despite their flaws. Nizu pointed out that their actions had consequences, and he would not tolerate the president's threats. The conversation ended with the president vowing to make Nizu pay for his defiance. After the meeting, Nizu informed Izuku about the discussion. Izuku had mastered the use of Dark Energon and controlled a couple of undead warriors, using them sparingly. He began his first hunt, gathering evidence against those who had wronged him. Meanwhile, Class 1A faced disappointment from their parents, who took away their belongings. Despite this, they were excited to attend UA, though some, like Bakugo and Shoto, blamed Izuku for their troubles. At the Yagi household, chaos reigned. Inko, once a top hero, struggled with her mental state, often imagining her son as a child. All Might lost the respect of his peers, haunted by dreams of his past actions, while Izumi distanced herself from her parents, focusing on self-improvement through reading and martial arts. From Izuku's perspective, he reflected on the 2 years since his transformation. He had a new family and was determined to reveal the truth about the treatment of the quirkless. One day, as he meditated, Nightbird entered and informed him that their father wished to speak with him. Curious about the reason, Izuku followed her to meet Unicron. Upon arrival, Izuku transformed and knelt before his father. Unicron acknowledged his son and expressed awareness of Izuku's desire to protect his sister, Izumi. He assigned Izuku, Nightbird, and Battletrap a mission to join the same establishment as Izumi. Although Izuku was aware of the potential dangers, he accepted the mission, vowing not to fail his father. Afterward, Izuku shared the mission details with his siblings, who were excited about the opportunity to reconnect with Izumi. They opened a portal to Japan and transformed into their human forms as they explored the streets. Izuku enjoyed a moment of light-heartedness with his siblings, appreciating the bond they shared. Soon, they heard an explosion and rushed towards the source. They found Kamui Woods, Backdraft, Death Arms, and Ender Lady confronting a villain with a slime-based quirk. Izuku quickly noticed that the villain had both Katsuki and Izumi held hostage. Death Arms expressed concern that none of their quirks were suitable for the situation. Kamui Woods instructed Ender Lady to shrink down and assist him. Just then, a bolt of ionized plasma struck the sludge villain, causing it to recoil in pain. "Who did that?" Kamui Woods exclaimed. "I did," came the voice of Scourge, a towering robot known as the Trophy Hunter Vigilante. Izumi called out to her brother, while Katsuki recognized Izuku's presence. Scourge dashed towards the villain, firing 3 shots that narrowly missed Izumi and Katsuki, despite his reluctance to save Katsuki. The villain screamed in agony as he released both hostages. They quickly ran to the heroes for safety. Scourge plunged his hand into the villain, and as the sludge fell away, it revealed a man beneath. The man was bewildered to find himself back in human form. What? How did this happen? He asked. Because I erased your quirk, Scourge replied. But why? Everyone thought of me as a monster my entire life. Because I too was mistreated by this world and its corrupted ideologies, Scourge said, blocking a punch from All Might with his forearm. I thought you were nothing but a rotting shell. Before All Might could respond, he was sent crashing into a wall. Scourge aimed his cannon at the man. I can offer you a new life if you wish. The choice is yours. Will I be able to live the life I dream of? The man asked. Yes. So what's your answer? After reflecting on his life, the man made his decision. My answer is yes. Excellent, Scourge said, lifting him up. Just then, Empty Lady grabbed Scourge. I got him, she declared. You fool. Scourge shouted, freeing his arm and firing shots at Empty Lady, causing her to release him. He landed on his feet and handed the man a piece of paper. If you wish to see me, meet me here. He disabled the erasure effect on the man's quirk. Thank you, Scourge, the man said, using his quirk to escape. You villain. Death Arms shouted, charging at Scourge. Scourge simply caught him and tossed him aside. He turned to Backdraft and Kamui Woods. You proved yourselves as worthy heroes. I apologize for attacking your subordinates, it was self-defense. Kamui Woods replied, I understand. 2 of them are so full of themselves, I wonder how they became heroes in the first place. Me too, Scourge said, transforming into his alternate mode and driving off to meet some people from his past. At Aldera Middle School, the teachers who had tormented Izuku were enjoying drinks and snacks. We have the best jobs, don't we? One teacher said. Those kids will become great heroes in the future, another chimed in. Unlike that worthless Deku, the principal laughed. Suddenly, the wall was blasted open, and Scourge walked through the opening with his teammates. The Terracons? What are they doing here? One teacher exclaimed. Scourge's back opened up, and 2 Terracon freezer drones perched on his shoulders. Rip out their organs from their worthless bodies and bring me their corpses, he commanded. The drones sprang into action. After a brief moment, the freezer drones took down all the staff members except the principal, whom Scourge wanted to confront. Breathing heavily, the principal looked at Scourge as he was restrained by the drones. I always wondered why you allowed them to do what they did. Can you tell me why? I don't even know you, the principal replied. Of course you forgot. 2 years ago, I was nothing more than a worthless Deku, Scourge whispered. The principal was shocked. Deku? Scourge then inflicted pain on the principal, demanding to know the truth behind his actions and the support he received from the HPSC Commission. After the principal revealed the truth, Scourge stood up. Is it recorded? He asked Nightbird. All of it, brother, Nightbird confirmed. What do you mean recorded? The principal asked, confused. Scourge aimed his weapon at the principal, ensuring he would not escape justice. As the situation unfolded, Scourge and his team discussed their next steps. How about we trap them in limbo, he suggested. Ingenious. Nightbird agreed. Let them suffer in a constant state of life and death, Battletrap added. Scourge opened a rift to Limbo and threw the Aldera staff through it before closing the rift. Alright, let's go meet up with Izumi, he said. The Terracons transformed and drove off to meet Izumi. After a few minutes, they reunited with her, and she expressed her anger at their actions at Aldera Middle School. I can't believe you did that without me. Izumi exclaimed. The Terracons were taken aback, unsure of how to respond. Well, the Terracons and Izumi enjoyed their time together before going their separate ways, as Izumi wanted to prepare for the UA entrance exam. Soon, the Terracons headed to the abandoned train yard they used as their hideout and entered time stasis, which is like sleep for Transformers. Chapter 4, The Entrance Exam. 2 weeks after the events of Chapter 3, the Terracons were on their way to UA in their alternate modes. When they arrived, many students looked at Scourge's vehicle, a Peterbilt 369 Mad Max truck, which was unusual in Japan. They found a secluded area to transform into their Cybertronian forms and then into their human forms. Yeah, let's show them what we're made of. Battletrap exclaimed, and the others cheered in agreement. Izuku led his team inside the building, quickly noticing that Class 1A was present as well. As Izuku walked with his team, he mentally cursed himself for encountering someone he disliked, Lida, who was complaining about their attire. Hey, you three! Why aren't you wearing your uniforms? If you think this is some sort of fashion show, then get out. Lida shouted, drawing the attention of the examinees. The Terracon sighed and continued walking, ignoring his outburst. Izumi, using her quirk, lifted a pebble and threw it with precision. A loud crack echoed through the hall, followed by a scream that startled everyone. Lida fell to the ground, clearly in pain, while the Class 1A students looked at Izumi in shock. Izumi, what were you thinking? Kirishima asked, surprised by her actions. If you don't want yours to be crushed, then leave me alone. Izumi retorted, unfazed. As she tried to walk away, Mina stopped her. Please, Izumi, tell us where Izubabe is. Why? So you can beat him up. Izumi replied. No, so we can be together. He deserves to be with us. Momo insisted. Weren't you the one who hurt him before? Izumi shot back, causing Momo to look down. He deserves to be happy, not with those who have no respect, Izumi said before walking away. It's okay, Momo. We'll get Izuchan back. Katsumi reassured her. Soon, the examinees, along with Class 1A, arrived at their respective exam halls, where they were greeted by pro-hero Ectoplasm. "Greetings, everyone," Ectoplasm said. "Hello, Ectoplasm," the examinees replied. "I know all of you are here to become heroes. In any competition, there are always winners and losers. But don't be discouraged. Even if you don't make it to the hero course, there are always ways to achieve your dreams. My mother taught me that failure is the greatest teacher in life, so don't be sad if you fail. Keep trying, and you'll eventually succeed. Remember to leave room for wonder, as it leads to the greatest things." The Terracons were impressed by Ectoplasm's encouraging words. Now, for those who don't know, this is the first phase of the UA entrance exam, a written exam to assess your intelligence and logical thinking. You have 1 hour and 30 minutes to complete it. Your time starts now. Ectoplasm announced as the clock began to count down. The examinees began writing, and the Terracons observed their struggles. Izuku thought to himself, they really believed strength was all they needed. I wonder if they overlooked the importance of wisdom. He glanced at Izumi, who seemed unfazed by the questions. She's going to do great. I know it. After 45 minutes, the Terracons and Izumi finished the exam and approached Ectoplasm. Can I help you kids? Ectoplasm asked. All 4 of us finished the exam, Izuku said confidently. Are you sure you don't want to review your answers? There's still time left, Ectoplasm replied. No, we already reviewed our answers and noticed the intentional grammar mistakes, Izumi explained. Ectoplasm was shocked that they completed the exam so quickly and found the errors. Alright then, off you go. Thank you, they replied before leaving the hall to head to the next phase. In the halls, Izumi asked, so what are you guys doing here at UA? My father knew I cared for you, so he told me I could attend UA and possibly become a hero, Izuku explained. Wait, are you serious? Izumi asked, surprised. Yep, everything he said is true, Nightbird confirmed. I get to hang out with my brother and his crew while attending UA. Izumi exclaimed. I'll take down anyone who tries to mess with him. Battle Trap declared. Count us in. Nightbird and Izumi agreed. Soon, the examinees who passed the written exam arrived at the physical exam hall, where they were greeted by Present Mike. What's up, little listeners? Can I get a yeah? Present Mike shouted. Yeah. Izuku responded. Hoya. Nightbird and Izumi joined in. Yeah. Battle Trap added. Present Mike, feeling emotional, thanked them. Now then, welcome to the second phase of the UA entrance exam, which we like to call Battle Mania. Battle Mania is where you showcase your tactical skills and adaptability. You will face 4 robots, as described in the pamphlets in front of you. You must defeat, destroy, or disable these robots to gain points. There is a 1-pointer worth 3 points, a 2-pointer worth 2 points, and a 3-pointer worth 1 point. And then there is Th. Lita interrupted, standing up. Excuse me, sir. Lita expressed his frustration, pointing out a mistake in the pamphlet regarding the number of robots in the test. He chastised his peers for talking instead of paying attention, suggesting that if they weren't serious, they should leave. Izuku stood up, seeking permission to speak from Present Mike. Once granted, he addressed Lita directly, defending his group. He pointed out that Present Mike was about to explain the 4th robot, which Lita had missed, and clarified that their discussion was part of strategizing for the exam. He noted that Lita was causing a disturbance himself and urged him to sit down, which Lita did, embarrassed by the reactions of others. Present Mike continued, explaining that the 4th robot was the 0-pointer, an obstacle worth no points. He encouraged the participants to do their best as they prepared for the upcoming challenge. The participants were soon assigned to City B and boarded the bus, where they discovered some classmates from 1A were also present. Conversations sparked about Izuku, with some expressing curiosity about his quirk. One participant, Itsuka Kendo, approached Izuku, introducing herself and thanking him for standing up to Lita. They exchanged pleasantries, and Kendo mentioned having a temporary ear blockage, which Izumi empathized with. As the bus arrived, Izuku noticed Kendo looking nervous and approached her. Despite Lita's attempt to interfere, Izuku reassured Kendo, encouraging her to take a deep breath to calm her nerves. When the gates opened, they rushed into the city, while Lita complained about the lack of a countdown. Inside, the participants were shocked to see the destruction caused by others who had entered before them. Izuku, in his Scourge form, had already scored points by defeating several robots. In the observation room, the UA staff discussed the current batch of students, with Aizawa hinting that some didn't deserve to be there. All Might entered, inquiring about his daughter, Izumi, and was surprised to learn about Izuku's performance. Nizu revealed that Izuku had awakened his quirk, surprising everyone with his impressive score and rank. Midnight asked about the current score, and Nizu responded that it was 3,452 points in under 5 minutes. The UA staff was shocked by the score, and Aizawa noted that it was time for action. Nizu, in a playful tone, referred to Izuku as his sleep-deprived zombie, and pressed a button labeled, "Do not press," laughing heartily. Back in the simulated city, Scourge was engaged in battle, swiftly taking down a pointer. Nightbird, in her Cybertronian form alongside Battletrap, expressed her enjoyment of the fight. Battletrap questioned if that was the best the opponents could do. Suddenly, a zero-pointer emerged, coldly observing the participants. Scourge warned Battletrap and Nightbird that they had to be careful. The zero-pointer began its attack, prompting the participants to flee. The Terracons and Izumi were about to retreat when they heard a scream. Scourge instructed Nightbird to locate the source of the cry. Nightbird took to the sky and soon found Itsuka Kendo trapped under rubble, with the zero-pointer looming over her. Izumi asked Scourge for a plan, and he urged them to act quickly. Battletrap transformed his arm into a machine gun and fired at the zero-pointer while Izumi used her telekinesis to slow it down. Reaching Kendo, Scourge reassured her to close her eyes as he lifted the rubble off her. He transformed into his vehicle mode and drove her to safety, gently placing her on the ground. Izumi checked on Kendo, confirming she had only minor injuries. Scourge then fired a dark energon shot at the zero-pointer, which became infected and fell under his control. As the zero-pointer began to tear off its own head, Scourge led the group away from the city, transforming back into his human form. The others followed suit, and Izumi used her powers to carry Kendo as they exited. The zero-pointer ultimately exploded due to the dark matter affecting its core, leaving the participants in shock. In the observation room, the UA staff, All Might, and Inko reacted with surprise. Nizu announced that the exam was over, and Present Mike instructed everyone to head to the nurse's office for any injuries, with results to be provided after a 2-week review. He called for the 5 who entered the fake city to meet with the principal. As the Terracons made their way to the principal's office, Izumi handed Kendo over to the medical bots and followed them. In the next chapter, the group walked through the halls towards the principal's office. Izumi speculated on the reason for their summons, while Nightbird guessed it was about All Might wanting Scourge back. Battletrap agreed, noting their inability to understand Scourge's desire to distance himself from them. Izuku expressed his frustration, vowing to respond strongly if they made certain comments. Izumi quietly asked if she could join him, but when questioned, she denied saying anything. Upon reaching the principal's office, Izuku was overwhelmed by the presence of the entire UA staff and his parents. Inko rushed to hug him, but he firmly rejected her, expressing his anger towards her neglect. All Might attempted to intervene, but Izumi interrupted, citing a legal article that allowed Izuku to disown his family after years of neglect. Izuku asserted that he had found a true family that cared for him, while Inko insisted she loved him. He challenged her knowledge of his favorite hero, revealing it was Eraserhead, not All Might. Nizu intervened, asking for the reason they were called in. Izumi informed him that Kendo was with Recovery Girl due to minor injuries. Nizu then inquired about Izuku's quirk. Izuku revealed that he was still quirkless, shocking everyone. When asked how he transformed into a 38-foot-tall robot, he explained that he was a Cybertronian hybrid, prompting further questions from Naomasa about what that entailed. Izuku began to explain his powers and how he gained them. He recounted the events of his death at the hands of his classmates from Class 1A, his meeting with his adopted father Unicron, and his siblings Battletrap and Nightbird. He shared how his father had transformed into Scourge, the second Prince of Chaos, and the epic battles between Unicron and his brother Primus that disrupted the balance of the universe until Unicron was ultimately defeated by the 13 original Primes. The room fell silent, and everyone, including Naomasa, looked shocked, prompting Naomasa to ask if it was true, to which Izuku affirmed. Suddenly, All Might interrupted, demanding to know the whereabouts of the villain. Inko chimed in, insisting that he did not deserve to be Izuku's father and was nothing but a monster. Izuku, feeling anger rise within him, transformed into his Cybertronian form, towering over them. Scourge shouted in defense of his father, expressing that they did not deserve to speak about him in such a manner, especially considering that without Unicron, Earth would not exist. The others, including the Terracons and Nizu, were taken aback, questioning what he meant. Scourge shifted into his human form, revealing his fiery red eyes, and Izuku explained that after Unicron's defeat by Primus, he wandered the void of space until he became the very seat of Earth. All Might questioned this, suggesting they could simply siphon him out of the Earth. Nizu corrected him, stating that Unicron was not inside the Earth's core, he was the Earth's core. Izumi realized the implications, understanding that siphoning him out would lead to the planet's destruction. Izuku supported her claim, warning that if they wished to continue living on Earth, they should not disturb their father. Nizu then ordered All Might and Telek to stand down, asserting his authority. With the meeting concluded and no further questions, Nizu allowed Izuku to leave. Grateful, Izuku thanked his uncle and exited the room, followed closely by his siblings. Afterward, Izuku headed to the nurse's office to find Kendo had been picked up by her parents. He then met up with Battletrap and Nightbird to head to their hideout. During the journey, Izuku conceived an idea for a powerful weapon. At the hideout, the Terracons transformed into their Cybertronian forms before shifting back to human forms. Izuku approached Nightbird, asking if she could open a portal to their father. She suggested he ask Battletrap, who was more skilled in that area. Thanking her, Izuku went to find Battletrap. Inside Battletrap's area, Izuku found him checking his machine gun. He greeted his brother and explained that Nightbird mentioned he could create a portal to their father. Battletrap agreed but asked why Izuku wanted to see Unicron. Izuku promised to explain after his visit, and Battletrap opened a portal to Unicron. Izuku stepped through the portal, arriving at the Earth's core, where he stood on a floating platform to speak with his father. He knelt and called out to Unicron, who slowly opened his optics and inquired about Izuku's visit. Izuku requested permission to build something that would help him practice his dark energon powers, a weapon. Unicron granted permission, asking to see the weapon once it was completed. With a surge of determination, Izuku began gathering materials and conceptualizing his creation. After some time, he started shaping a hunk of dark energon, pounding it into the desired form. He then used welding lasers to refine the blade, which began to take the shape of a double-sided sword, crackling with dark energy. Next, he cut a bar of durbilium to create a handle, embedding a dark energon crystal in the center. He carefully attached the dark energon blade to the handle, sealing it with his welding lasers. The weapon, which he named the Primordial Blade, possessed incredible abilities, including dark energon slashes, raising the undead, and creating thunderstorms. As he held the completed weapon, a surge of power coursed through him, and he let out a triumphant roar. With the primordial blade secured on his back, he returned to the floating platform to show his father his creation. Unicron, intrigued, asked about the weapon's capabilities. Izuku proudly explained its powers, and Unicron expressed his admiration for the magnificent weapon, noting that it could help defeat Prime in battle. With a sense of accomplishment, Izuku prepared to return to the surface. Unicron opened a portal, and Izuku stepped through, eager to share his creation with his siblings. Back at the hideout, Nightbird was sharpening her katanas, and Battletrap was conducting a final check on his machine gun when Izuku emerged from the portal, the primordial blade behind his back. He greeted them, and they welcomed him back, curious about his visit. Izuku revealed his creation, presenting the primordial blade as a testament to his newfound power and connection to their father. Scourge proudly declared, "I call it the primordial blade." Battletrap and Nightbird looked on in amazement. "Wow," they exclaimed in unison. "I can feel the dark energon pulsing from the blade." Battletrap added. Nightbird, intrigued, remarked, "I've only heard about the one weapon crafted from dark energon using the Forge of Salas Prime, the Dark Star Saber." "Dark Star Saber?" Scourge echoed, curiosity piqued. Nightbird then recounted the tale of the war on Cybertron, explaining how Megatron, once a minor bot named D-16, had crafted the Dark Star Saber, known as the Slayer of Primes. Scourge listened intently, impressed by the story. "I'm surprised that a simple miner became the leader of an entire army," he said. "Life works in mysterious ways, brother," Nightbird replied. "True that. Anyway, I'm off to stasis," Scourge said. "Same here," Nightbird agreed. "Good night, guys," Battletrap chimed in. "Good night, you too," Scourge responded. As the Terracons entered a timed stasis, a scene unfolded in a cemetery during a thunderstorm. At 11:47 p.m., a towering machine stood before a gravestone. "I promise on my mother's name I'll have my revenge," the figure vowed. "That is my vow, All Might and Telek. I will have my vengeance. For I am." Lightning struck, revealing the machine to be another Cybertronian, adorned in red armor plating with neon green accents and shoulder-mounted missiles. "Shadow Maker," he declared. Shadow Maker was a Cybertronian not aligned with any factions. He transformed into a sleek red Bugatti Chiron and possessed an innate understanding of Earth. He harbored a grudge against All Might and Telek, though the reason remained a mystery. Like the Terracons, he could shift into a human form, but he rarely chose to do so. As he exited the cemetery and reached the front gate, Shadow Maker transformed into his vehicle mode and drove off. Suddenly, another bolt of lightning struck, and a hologram of a woman appeared in the driver's seat. A week after the events of the previous chapter, the Terracons had built a cozy two-story cabin in the woods near the train yard to adjust to their new surroundings. They had informed Nizu and Izumi about their location, and the two had provided them with the coordinates. In the kitchen, Izuku was preparing a New England lobster roll for Izumi, as the Terracons could not consume human food due to their Cybertronian biology. Izumi sat at the table, sipping coffee, when a knock at the door caught her attention. "Uncle Nizu? What are you doing here?" she asked as she opened the door to reveal Nizu. From across the hall, Izuku called out, "Izumi. Who's at the door?" "It's Uncle Nizu, Oni-chan." Izumi replied, turning back to Nizu. "Please come inside." Nizu stepped inside, admiring the interior of the house. "Marvelous. It looks very cozy and spacious." "It sure is," Izuku said, sipping on liquefied dark energon. "Ah. Izuku, my boy. How have you been?" Nizu inquired. "Doing well, thank you for asking," Izuku replied. "You're welcome. But I'm here for another matter besides visiting you," Nizu continued. "Is something wrong?" Izuku asked, concerned. "No, quite the opposite. However, to address this matter, we need your other siblings as well. They're outside training. I'll bring them in. In the meantime, Izumi, can you take our guest to the living area?" "Sure. Come this way, Uncle Nizu," Izumi said, stepping aside to let him pass. Nizu followed her to the living area, and after a few minutes, Izuku returned with Battletrap and Nightbird. They had just finished a sparring match, resulting in a few trees being damaged. "So, what was it that you wanted to say?" Uncle Nizu? Izuku asked. Nizu handed them a letter. To give you these. What is this? Nightbird asked, puzzled. Open it, Nizu urged. The Terracons and Izumi opened the letter and discovered it was an application form. Tears of joy filled Izuku and Izumi's eyes as they realized they had both been accepted into UA, along with Nightbird and Battletrap. I thought it fitting to bring this personally and to keep this place a secret from them, Nizu hinted, referring to the HPSC Commission, All Might and Telek. Izumi wiped her tears and exclaimed, You heard that, Oni-chan. We can be heroes. Izuku, still emotional, looked at Nizu and said, I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything. Consider it a gift. Welcome to UA High. Nizu replied warmly. Afterward, Izuku began teaching Izumi some tricks to enhance her quirk, including overclocking it for improved performance. She gained one for all, as the past users unanimously approved her ability to wield it, though they replaced the age quirk with a curse that granted her varying percentages while using it. A week later, Izuku, in his alt mode, along with Nightbird and Battletrap, waited in front of the cabin for Izumi. Izumi, it's 7:30. Are you done putting on your uniform? Scourge called out. Izumi emerged from the cabin, dressed in her UA uniform. Does this answer your question? It sure does. Now come on, we don't want to be late on our first day. Scourge said, opening the door of his alt mode for her to enter. No, we don't, Izumi replied, climbing into the driver's seat. Terracons. Show them your might. Scourge declared as they drove off at 56 miles per hour, with Nightbird and Battletrap following in their alt modes. After a 26-minute drive, they arrived at UA, greeted by Nizu and Aizawa at the front gate. Scourge opened the door for Izumi, who stepped out. The Terracons transformed into their Cybertronian forms before shifting into their human forms. Hello, Izuku, Nizu greeted. Hey, Uncle Nizu and Uncle Aizawa, Izuku and Izumi replied. What's up? Battletrap and Nightbird chimed in. It's good to see you all, but there's something Nizu forgot to mention during his visit. Izuku, you and your crew are in 1B, while Izumi is in 1A along with them, Aizawa explained. The Terracons and Izumi exchanged knowing glances, understanding what Nizu was hinting at. Is it possible for her to switch classes? Izuku asked, preparing to summon the primordial blade. There is a way. The sports festival, Nizu explained. If a teacher sees a potential student from another course, they can take charge of the student, thus changing their classes. I see. And since they are here, they will figure out I am here too, Izuku said. And if they try to force you to do something, I'll handle it, Nightbird added confidently. Aizawa expressed his frustration about the situation, feeling unable to expel certain students due to their protection by the HPSC president. Izuku, determined, hinted that he had a plan in mind. Nizu, curious, asked what Izuku intended to do, to which Izuku replied cryptically, saying he would reveal it soon. They then proceeded inside the campus. Inside, Izumi attended her class, despite her feelings towards her tormentors. Meanwhile, Izuku and his team entered their classroom, where Vlad King introduced himself as their homeroom teacher for the next 3 years. He explained that they would be introducing themselves and preparing for a quirk evaluation test the following day. Kendo was the first to introduce herself, sharing her name, quirk, and hobbies before returning to her seat. One by one, the students introduced themselves until it was Izuku's turn. He stood up and introduced himself, explaining that his quirk, biomech, allowed him to transform into a large living robot with integrated weapons. In a flashback, a week earlier, Izuku had approached Nizu to ask for a favor. He needed new identities for himself and his siblings due to the threat posed by the HPSC. Nizu agreed to help, asking for pictures and names to forge the necessary documents. After a brief discussion, they settled on the details, and Nizu efficiently prepared the new identities. Returning to the present, Izuku resumed his seat, and his sibling, Nightbird, introduced herself and her brother Nathan, explaining their similar transformation quirks. Monoma inquired about their abilities, and Izuku clarified that while their quirks were classified as transformation types, they also served as a defense against quirk nullification technology, which surprised their classmates. As Vlad King continued the lesson, the scene shifted to a distant planet called Omicron, where a conflict was unfolding. A Cybertronian soldier, injured and fleeing, was pursued by a high-class Cybertronian. The tension escalated as the pursuer attacked, leaving the soldier in a desperate situation. In the stronghold, a high-class Cybertronian prepared for a confrontation, sensing danger as two figures approached. The atmosphere was charged with suspense as the door was breached, leading to an unexpected encounter. A figure walked inside with Apex and Guillotine following closely behind. "The world holds such wealth and elements," the figure declared, "and yet you high-class individuals assume that wealth is power." Apex was busy dismantling Energon fuel lines, while Guillotine seemed preoccupied with the remnants of their previous encounters. "But I see clearly," the figure continued. "Wealth is a crutch, it weakens us and makes us feel that those around us are parasites. Pain, however, is what truly matters. It tests you, leaving you raw and worthy of existence. Or it can lead to your end." A high-class Cybertronian peeked around a corner, noticing the approaching figures. "I can offer you the pain to set you free," the figure said. "But my question is, will you embrace it?" The high-class Cybertronian frantically searched for an escape and spotted the armory. Taking a risk, he sprinted toward it, unaware that the assailants had seen him. The figure chuckled at his effort and dashed forward, knocking him to the ground. The high-class Cybertronian winced in pain as he fell. The figure seized his head, forcing him to stand while digging into his optic. "Shoo, do not fight it," the figure said, delivering a swift blow that ended the confrontation. The high-class Cybertronian's body fell to the ground, and the figure looked at his head before crushing it and retrieving his weapon. As the lights flickered on, the mysterious Cybertronian was revealed. He had dark and light gray armor with gold accents and red highlights. His head was covered by a Roman-style helmet, leaving only his optics visible, and a red light in the shape of a trident glowed on his chest. "Lord Inferno, what do we do now?" Apex asked. "We leave," Inferno replied, walking away with Guillotine and Apex close behind. Later, aboard the ship, Inferno typed something into the console. "What are we going to do now?" Apex inquired. Inferno smirked beneath his helmet. "We may have one, but we still have one more enemy." "Who?" Apex asked. "The one responsible for the war on our planet," Inferno replied, clenching his fist tightly. Inferno was a Cybertronian from the colony world Omicron, known for his unique energon called Lava Energon. He had grown up with a deep-seated resentment for the upper-class Cybertronians of Omicron due to being falsely accused of a crime. During his time in the Dredge, he formed a faction called the Inferno Cons and became known as Lord Inferno, the King of the Dredge. He had fought fiercely, proving his strength and ideology that only the strong could survive, while the weak must be eliminated. A day after the previous events, Class 1B was gathered, either chatting or passing the time. Vlad King entered the room, greeting the class. "Good morning, everyone." "Good morning, Sensei," they replied in unison. "As you all know, today is the quirk test. Please change into your gym uniforms and meet me at Ground Delta in 15 minutes. The students quickly made their way to the changing rooms. In the boys' changing room, Izuku was shirtless, revealing scars that caught the attention of his classmates. "Bro, you're so ripped. Why do you have so many scars?" Tetsu asked. Izuku sighed, "I had a rough past, Tetsu." "Oh," Tetsu replied, understanding. Izuku put on his gym shirt and closed his locker. "You guys should hurry up," he said, leaving with Battle Trap. At Ground Delta, Vlad King leaned against the wall as Izuku, Battle Trap, and Nightbird arrived. I'm impressed by your efficiency, kiddos, Vlad King remarked. Thank you, sensei. The rest of the class will arrive shortly, Izuku responded. After a few minutes, the rest of Class 1B arrived. Everyone is accounted for, sensei, Kendo announced. Good, then we can begin, Vlad King said, taking out a handheld tracking device and a ball. He tossed the ball to Izuku. Since you came first in the entrance exam, we'll start with you. Step inside the circle and throw the ball as far as you can without stepping out of it. Don't hold back. Izuku transformed into his Cybertronian form, towering over the circle. The force of his throw broke the sound barrier, leaving the class in awe of his power. How did I do, sensei? Izuku asked after the throw. Vlad King, looking at the device, was shocked. 453 miles. Wait, what? Did I do something wrong? Izuku asked, confused. Alright, Midoriya, go back to the class, Vlad King instructed. Izuku nodded and returned to his classmates. Vlad King continued with the next student, and while Izuku excelled in most tests, Nightbird won the speed test due to her flying ability. Unbeknownst to the class, All Might and Telek were observing, contemplating how to integrate Izuku and his team into Class 1A. In the 1B classroom, the students were chatting among themselves when Kendo approached Izuku. Hey, Midoriya. Can we talk? She asked. Izuku turned to her, sure, Kendo. What do you want to talk about? Kendo hesitated. Back at the entrance exam, you called Alicia Nightbird and Nathan Battletrap. What's that about? Izuku and his friends had decided to protect their identities by adopting codenames. Alicia chose Nightbird for her stealth and love of the night sky, while Nathan went with Battletrap, reflecting his crafty nature in battle. What's your codename, Midoriya? Kendo asked with a playful giggle. My codename is Scourge, Izuku replied. Scourge? Why's that? Kendo inquired, sensing the weight of the name. Izuku hesitated, then shared, it relates to my past and the discrimination I've seen against those who are quirkless or have weaker quirks. Kendo nodded slowly, realizing they shared similar experiences. I guess you and I are not so different after all, Midoriya. What do you mean? Izuku asked, curious. My quirk has caused me trouble too. I was bullied for having an augmenter quirk and even cheated on by my ex, Kendo admitted. Izuku understood, they were both victims of bullying for different reasons. Just then, Nizu's voice came through the intercom, calling for Class 1B to come to his office. The students exchanged glances, wondering what it could be about. As they entered the principal's office, they were greeted by Nizu, Eraserhead, Vlad King, All Might, Telek, and Class 1A. Izuku felt a tightness in his chest. Vlad King asked Nizu why they were all gathered. Nizu explained that All Might and Telek wanted to discuss transferring 3 students from Vlad's class to Eraserheads. What? Vlad exclaimed, surprised. All Might interjected, that's because there are 3 students too powerful to be in your class, Vlad. Kendo asked for clarification, and Katsumi chimed in, insisting that Izuku and his team should be with them instead of low-life extras. Confused, Class 1B looked around, and Setsuna pointed out that there was no one named Aiken in their class. Shoto clarified that it was a nickname for Izuku. Kimiko asked if Izuku knew them, and he confirmed they were his former friends from middle school, now turned tormentors. Nightbird added, and his tormentors. Lita suddenly shouted at Izuku, demanding he wash away his hair dye. In response, Izuku transformed into his Cybertronian form, summoning the primordial blade and pointing it at Lita. Don't talk to my sister like that, he warned. Izumi, surprised, reminded him that it was an insult to Sonic, and Izuku quickly apologized. Inko, concerned, asked about the weapon, while All Might questioned where it had come from. Izuku explained it was his support item, the primordial blade. Lita, seemingly oblivious, scolded Izuku for using a weapon without consent, demanding he hand it over. Izuku retorted that he wouldn't let Lita risk himself with it. Nizu intervened, urging Izuku to stand down, which he reluctantly did. Izuku turned back to his classmates, and Nizu addressed All Might and Telek, stating that Izuku was doing well in Class 1B and didn't need to be transferred. Katsumi protested, insisting he should be with them, but Izuku expressed his disdain for being with those who had hurt him. "You all broke me. I had to survive on my own," he exclaimed, revealing the pain he had endured. Inko was taken aback, and Izumi questioned why he hadn't confided in her. Izuku explained that he didn't want to burden her. Nizu, unable to contain his anger, confronted All Might and Telek about their neglect, throwing his teacup in frustration. As the tension escalated, Bakugo, furious at the idea of Izuku not joining Class 1A, prepared to retaliate. But Izuku, in his Cybertronian form, quickly subdued him, leaving Bakugo on the ground, gasping for breath. Aizawa grabbed Bakugo with his capture scarf, lifting him up. "Detention for 1 week, he stated firmly. But Zuzu attacked him. "Why isn't he in trouble?" Shoka protested. Izumi chimed in, "Ever heard of the word self-defense, candy cane?" Nizu interjected, "Alright, everyone go back to your classes, this meeting has concluded." The classes left the room and returned to their respective classrooms. A few hours later, Class 1B was in their hero costumes, ready for the next lesson. "Is everyone accounted for?" Vlad King asked. "No, Sensei, the Midoriya trio isn't here," Setsuna replied. Monoma added, Maybe we what?" Scourge interrupted as he walked towards them, accompanied by Nightbird and Battletrap in their Cybertronian forms. "What were you saying?" Nightbird asked, eyeing Monoma. "And nothing." Monoma stammered. "Alright, now that everyone is here, let's start," Vlad King announced, explaining the day's activities. After a few minutes, the teams were selected for the first battle, Izuku and Kendo versus Monoma and Setsuna. "Heroes can enter," Vlad King announced through the intercom. Izuku and Kendo entered the building. "So what's the plan?" Kendo asked. Scourge replied, "Using my optics, I pinpointed their locations. Monoma is on the second floor while Setsuna is guarding the bomb on the top floor. I'll handle Setsuna. You take care of Monoma," Kendo decided. "Alright, let's go," Scourge said as they moved through the building. Once on the second floor, Scourge paused, sensing something. Kendo noticed and approached him. "What's wrong?" "We're not alone," Scourge warned. "That's right," Monoma shouted as he rushed from the shadows, ready to attack using Tetsutetsu's quirk he had copied. Scourge fired at him with his cannon, but Monoma narrowly dodged the shot and regained his footing. "Kendo, go secure the bomb," Scourge instructed. "I'm on it," Kendo replied, heading off to find the bomb and Setsuna. Monoma charged at Scourge with a metal pipe in hand. Scourge calmly walked toward him, preparing his claw. Monoma swung the pipe, but Scourge ducked and grabbed it. As Monoma struggled to pry it from his grip, Scourge delivered a strong punch, sending Monoma stumbling back. Monoma fell but quickly recovered, hardening his right hand to deliver a punch to Scourge's face. Scourge stepped back to avoid the blow and kicked Monoma away. "You're strong," Monoma exclaimed as he fell. "I'm just getting started," Scourge declared, rushing at him to finish the fight. Monoma seized the opportunity to strike at Scourge's abdomen, but he ended up injuring his wrist in the process. "Arg!" Monoma cried, clutching his broken wrist. He attempted to hit Scourge with his good arm, but Scourge absorbed the hits. Scourge caught Monoma's fist and forced him to kneel. Impossible." Monoma gasped in shock. Scourge chuckled, "I enjoy that look of fear and confusion. When an inferior being meets a higher power," he said, kicking Monoma away. Monoma fell to the ground, and Scourge grabbed his head, slamming it down to knock him out. Turning his attention to Kendo, Scourge moved to assist her until Vlad King announced through the intercom, Monoma and Setsuna are unable to fight. Heroes win. Scourge hoisted Monoma over his shoulder and walked toward Recovery Girl. The rest of the class completed the training exercise, learning about heroes and tactics. After school ended, the trio returned to their cabin to train, preparing for future challenges. Izuku Midoriya, the truest hero of all time. A few days later, Izuku walked through the hallway, holding a copy of Atomic Habits by James Clear when he was stopped by two of his former tormentors, Kirishima and Kaminari. "Hey, Yaji bro!" Kirishima called out. Izuku ignored them and continued walking. "Hey man, let's talk," Kaminari said, placing a hand on Izuku's shoulder. Izuku turned, giving them a fierce glare. Kaminari quickly withdrew his hand. Hey man, no need to be hostile. We just want to hang out. Yeah, like the good old times. Kirishima added. Izuku retorted, "What good old times? The only interaction I had with you was when you and your class bullied me. Is that what you call good times? Look, we just want to hang out with you. That's all." Kaminari insisted. "Yeah, let bygones be bygones," Kirishima suggested. Izuku transformed into his human-sized Cybertronian form, aiming his cannon and arm blade at them. Kirishima and Kaminari stepped back in slight fear. "Bro. Listen here, you Elfman ripoff and Walmart Pikachu, I hate you with every cell in my body," Scourge declared. "You think your apologies can heal years of pain and neglect," he continued. Kirishima and Kaminari fell silent. "That's what I thought," Scourge said, turning away and transforming back into his human form. Kaminari shouted, "Why can't you just forgive us?" "I'll forgive you once you're 6 feet under, not to mourn you, but to say I'm sorry I wasn't the one who took you down," Izuku replied as he walked to his class. In the 1B classroom, Izuku listened to Vlad King while drawing something. He put it away and focused on what Vlad King had to say. "So today we're going to the unforeseen simulation joint for rescue training alongside 1A, Vlad King announced. "Yes, Sensei," Class 1B responded. "Change into your hero costumes and meet me at the front gate in 15 minutes, Vlad King instructed. "Yes, Sensei," the class replied as everyone, including the Terracons, left to change. Noticing the Terracons hadn't left, Vlad King asked, "Aren't you three going to change?" The Terracons stood up and transformed into their human-sized Cybertronian forms. Vlad King was momentarily dumbfounded. "I keep forgetting you guys can do that." "It's fine, Sensei. We'll be at the front gate," Scourge assured him as they exited the classroom. At the front gate, Class 1B arrived in their hero costumes alongside Class 1A. Katsumi and Shoka wore costumes similar to their brothers. "All right, Vlad, all my students are here now, let's get going," Aizawa said. Eraserhead, the Midoriya siblings aren't here," Kendo pointed out. "Oh, they are here, Miss Kendo," Vlad King replied. Class 1B and 1A heard the sound of vehicles approaching. They all wondered, looking toward the source of the sound. The Terracons approached in their alt modes, stopping in front of them. They transformed into their true Cybertronian forms. "Whoa!" Class 1B exclaimed in awe. Vlad King gathered everyone on the bus, ensuring all were accounted for. As the students from Class 1B entered the bus, Lida, in his usual overzealous manner, exclaimed, "But Sensei, what about the Terracons? They should be traveling with us." He pointed dramatically at them, his hand shaking with urgency. Vlad King explained that due to limited space, the 3 Terracons would use their quirks to travel to the USJ instead. Lida protested, reminding everyone that using quirks without a license was illegal. Scourge interjected, pointing out that Hawks was also using his quirk to travel across the city. Lida tried to argue but fell silent when Scourge continued, questioning whether those with mutant quirks were breaking the law as well. With a sigh of frustration, Scourge transformed into His alternate mode, joined by Nightbird and Battletrap, as the Terracons drove off to the USJ, followed by the bus carrying the rest of the students. The journey was long, filled with chatter among the classes. The girls from Class 1A persistently teased Izumi about Izuku transferring to their class, but she firmly rejected their suggestions. Upon arriving at the USJ, Izuku was met with Lita's loud demands, which only served to irritate him further. Lita approached Scourge and the others, declaring, "Izuku, as the class president of 1A, I demand that your siblings transfer from 1B to 1A. You will quit UA and marry the girls, becoming a stay-at-home husband while we become the greatest heroes ever. As your superior, you will obey me." Scourge, clearly annoyed, stepped forward and said, "Listen, I don't follow your orders. I control my own destiny." Lita insisted, "You will do as I say." Scourge, now visibly angry, aimed his plasma cannon at Lita and declared, "I despise everyone in your class except for Izumi. You all broke me and made me endure 10 years of hell, yet you think you're superior." Lita was left speechless, and Scourge walked away to meet his class at the front gate, joined by Nightbird and Battletrap. Eraserhead reminded the students to avoid causing any trouble, to which Scourge quietly asked Izumi if Eraserhead was always like this. She replied, "Yep, unfortunately." Upon entering the USJ, they were greeted by the rescue hero. Uraraka excitedly expressed her admiration, and 13 responded with a warm smile. Eraserhead inquired about the whereabouts of another hero, to which 13 indicated that they were still waiting for him. Frustrated, Eraserhead lamented that the hero never seemed to get anything right. 13 explained her quirk, which allowed her to create miniature black holes for rescue operations, emphasizing the importance of using quirks safely. She then instructed everyone to divide into groups for training. Kendo asked if UA had hired any fake villains for training, to which 13 replied that it was just the heroes present. Scourge, sensing danger, took a battle stance and pointed towards the entrance of the fire zone, where a strange purple mist began to form. From the mist emerged a man dressed in black, followed by a group of thugs. The man introduced himself as Blackout, the Shadow, and revealed their intention to destroy the heroes present. Vlad King and 13 stood ready to protect the students, declaring that the villains would not harm them. As the thugs charged, Eraserhead and Vlad King sprang into action, using their quirks to subdue the attackers. 13 utilized her quirk to assist, knocking down several thugs with a gate pulled by gravitational force. She then asked for the fastest student to go for backup. Nightbird volunteered, but was intercepted by the Mist Man. 13 quickly intervened, allowing Nightbird to take flight and seek help, while the villains prepared for a confrontation. Mist Man summoned a miniature mist portal in front of 13, while another portal appeared beside her, absorbing her suit and causing her to fall to the ground, half of her suit gone. 13, cried 1A, rushing to her side. Bakugo, filled with anger, shouted, "This ends now. You won't get away with this, villain." The mist surrounding Mist Man began to act abnormally after being hit. "It seems you might be a problem," he said with a smirk. "Hope you enjoy falling." He opened a portal beneath the heroes, causing them to fall through. Meanwhile, Mist Man used his quirk to teleport himself toward Blackout, who noticed his arrival. "Kurogyri, did you handle the future parasites?" he asked. "I warped them all to the zones and incapacitated 13, sir. But one student managed to escape and is on her way to bring backup from UA, Kurogyri replied. Blackout sighed, realizing the implications. "That parasite will lead All Might here." He observed Eraserhead and Vlad King defeating the thugs one by one. "I underestimated them. If this continues, they will take us down. Bring in our trump card, Kurogyri." "But sir, that's for when All Might arrives." "Are you sure you want to bring it in?" Kurogyri questioned. "Of course, think of this as a beta test. We can see if it can keep up with these two," Blackout insisted. Kurogyri complied, opening the warp gates as a hulking figure emerged. The figure let out a loud roar, causing Eraserhead and Vlad King to widen their eyes in shock. "What is that thing?" Vlad King exclaimed. Blackout introduced the creature. "Heroes, meet the Nomu." He pointed at Eraserhead and Vlad King. "Dispose of them." The Nomu charged at them. Eraserhead attempted to use his quirk, while Vlad King created a blood barrier, but the Nomu was unaffected by either. At the shipwreck zone, Kendo was falling and about to hit the water when Izumi used her black whip to grab her and land safely on the shipwreck. "Thanks for the save," Kendo said, grateful. "No problem, but I think we might be trapped here," Izumi replied, glancing around. Kendo looked at the shore, spotting thugs with swimming gear and water-resistant firearms. Fiddlesticks. Suddenly, Scourge and Battletrap fell near the shipwreck, climbing onto the hull of the ship. "Hey there," they greeted. "It's good to see you two aren't hurt," Izumi said. "I'm sorry if I worried you, but what's the situation here?" Scourge asked. Kendo pointed to the thugs swimming toward them. "It's them." Scourge pulled out the primordial blade, electricity crackling around it. He aimed at the water, sending a bolt of electricity that incapacitated the thugs. Never mind," Kendo said, surprised. "Now that they've been taken care of, how will we get out of here?" Izumi asked. Battletrap pointed to a pathway leading to the entrance. "That way." Scourge transformed into his Cybertronian form and lifted both Izumi and Kendo. "Hold tight." He jumped into the water, walking toward the entrance. The trek took about 10 to 15 minutes due to the water level. Once they reached the shore, they sprinted toward the entrance and kicked it down. "Are you two all right?" Scourge asked, setting them down. "We're fine," Kendo replied. "Thanks for asking," Izumi added. Suddenly, Eraserhead and Vlad King crashed next to them, bruised and battered. "Sensei," the group exclaimed in unison. Blackout observed them with a small laugh. "Ah, two people with transformation quirks. I wonder if you're as strong as you look." "Battletrap, you're with me." "Izumi, Kendo, tend to their injuries," Scourge instructed. "Yes, Oni-chan," Izumi replied. "But what about you?" Kendo asked. Scourge took out the primordial blade, determination in his eyes. "We'll deal with him." "Brother, are you ready?" "Absolutely. Let's show this guy what we can do." Battletrap responded. Blackout smirked. "Nomu, bring me their heads." The Nomu charged at them. Battletrap took a knee and fired his machine gun, bombarding the creature with rubber bullets. Scourge transformed his left hand into a cannon and fired, hitting the Nomu in the stomach and knocking it down. The Nomu quickly recovered, and Scourge realized, it has regeneration and no will of its own. "Brother, switch to lethal." "Copy that." Battletrap switched to live rounds and continued firing. The Nomu's left hand was shredded but regenerated as it rushed at Battletrap, delivering a powerful punch that sent him stumbling back. Scourge charged at the Nomu with the primordial blade in hand. The Nomu retaliated with a punch to his abdomen, but it didn't hurt him. Scourge stabbed the Nomu in the stomach and kicked it away. The Nomu attempted to bite Scourge, but its teeth broke upon impact. Scourge ripped off its left arm, causing it to crash to the ground, slowly regenerating. Blackout was perplexed. "Why is it regenerating slowly?" Scourge explained, "My weapon drains stamina. Since this creature has no soul, I can do this." He began to tear the Nomu's limbs apart. The Nomu let out a roar of pain and desperation as it struggled to regenerate. Scourge put away the primordial blade and stabbed the Nomu with his arm blade, lifting it up. The Nomu let out a weak roar as it fell to its knees, struggling to heal its wounds. Scourge grabbed its head and ripped it off, causing the creature to fall lifelessly to the ground. Blackout watched in amazement as a UA student defeated the Nomu. "I'm impressed. It's been a while since someone put on a show like this. Though it's a pity I must end you." Scourge rushed forward, but was suddenly shot in the shoulder by Snipe. "Nightbird," he exclaimed, surprised. "I brought the cavalry," she replied as the pro-heroes burst through the non-existent gate. "Blackout, take us back now," he commanded. "Yes, sir," Kurogyri responded, warping Blackout, the serving thugs, and himself away. Scourge transformed into his human form and approached 13, Eraserhead, and Vlad King. Izuku took out a dark energon shard given to him by Unicron and broke off a small piece. He crushed it and sprinkled it over 13, Eraserhead, and Vlad King. The dark energon healed their injuries without causing energon poisoning due to the small dose used. The three heroes let out a sigh of relief. Following the attack, the USJ was cancelled, and the police and heroes arrested the thugs. Nizu granted everyone a week off to recover. The Terracons drove off to their cabin, while others were picked up by their parents or went home alone. At the villain hideout, Blackout knelt down, reporting, "My lord, I'm sorry to inform you that the attack on the USJ was a failure." And the Nomu?" came a voice. "It was defeated," Blackout replied. "It seems that All Might still has it in him." "No, my lord, the Nomu was defeated by a student." "Well, that is unexpected." "Leave me be," the voice commanded. "Yes, my lord," Blackout said, standing up to leave. "It seems I have one more thorn to take care of." The light shone upon him, revealing a man in metallic armor. "No matter, that brat will fall like all those I have slain before." The helmet retracted, revealing a man with no eyes or nose, AFO. "Once I have OFA, nothing can stop me," he declared, typing something on his gauntlet. "Shadow Maker, find this brat and annihilate him." "Yes, my lord," Shadow Maker replied in his human form as he walked away. A week after the events at the USJ, Izuku, also known as Scourge, was in ground beta, training his ranged attacks. In reality, he was letting off steam from the earlier incident. Earlier that day in the UA cafeteria, Izuku held a tray of steamed vegetables and chicken along with some cooked rice for his sister, Izumi. "Are you sure you don't want anything to eat?" she asked. "As much as I wish to, I cannot. It's one of the downsides of being a Cybertronian hybrid, sis," he replied. Izumi looked sad, realizing her brother could only consume liquefied dark energon. To cheer her up, Izuku suggested, "How about I spoon-feed you? Like when we were little?" Surprised but happy, Izumi agreed, "Sure. All right then, let's go find somewhere to sit down," he said as they searched for a table. They were interrupted by Mina, Kirishima, Kaminari, and Siro, who were sitting a few tables away. "Hey Izubabe and Yagi-chan, come sit with us," Mina called out. "Yeah, just like the old times," Kirishima added. "Here, let me get that for you." Siro stood up to take Izumi's tray. Izuku transformed his left arm into his Cybertronian form, aiming his claw at Siro. "Touch me or my sister, and I'll personally send you to whatever afterlife entity you believe in." "Whoa. Easy, man." Siro stepped back, startled. "Yeah, man, we just want to hang out like we did when we were kids." Kaminari chimed in. "The only memory I have of us hanging out is when I was the weak and pathetic Deku." Izuku retorted. "So it's a hard pass from me, you Walmart Pikachu. Plus, we're not your friends, so leave us alone," Izumi added. Izuku and Izumi walked away to an empty table and sat down. Izuku placed the tray down and used chopsticks to grab a piece of chicken. "Say, ah," he instructed, holding the chopsticks in front of her lips. "All right, Oni-chan." "Ah," she opened her mouth. He fed her the chicken and put the chopsticks away. "You're welcome, sis," he said as she chewed and smiled at him. After a few minutes, they were joined by Kendo, Tetsutetsu, Setsuna, and Yui. "Hey, Midoriya." Kendo greeted. "Hey, guys. Wanna come and eat with us?" Izuku asked. Sure, come on, guys. Kendo replied. As the group began to eat and chat, Yui asked, aren't you going to eat, Midoriya? No, I already ate, he lied, winking at Izumi. Izumi understood and played along. Oh, okay. Just then, Nizu's voice came through the intercom. Can Izuku Midoriya come to my office? Izuku thought it was strange for Uncle Nizu to call for him. Excuse me, I must leave, he said, standing up to head to the principal's office. Once he exited the cafeteria, his friends wondered why he had been called. Why do you think the principal called Izuku? Kendo asked. Beats me, Tetsu replied. Not a clue, Setsuna added. Not in the slightest, Yui agreed. I think it must be about the transfer, but that's just a stretch, Izumi suggested. At the principal's office, Izuku knocked on the door. Come in. Nizu called from the other side. Izuku opened the door to find Nizu and a blonde-haired woman in her 40s. Izuku, I believe you know Nizu started. The HPSC president of Japan, yes, I know who she is, Uncle Nizu, Izuku interrupted. Then you know why I'm here, the president began. Izuku transformed into his human-sized Cybertronian form, aiming his claw at her. Don't you dare associate me with that name. Or so help me, I'll make everything you did public. You don't have the guts to do it, she replied stubbornly. You think I won't? Watch me, he warned, his optics glowing a bright orange. After about 15 minutes, the HPSC president received a phone call from her assistant. Excuse me, I have to take this, she said, taking out her phone. What is it? She answered. Ma'am, the video recording of you allowing Aldera Middle School staff to torment Inquisitor's son has been posted online by an unknown source, her assistant informed her. What? She exclaimed. It's true. There has been a massive uproar as we speak. Izuku smirked. What's the matter, madam? Someone revealed a few secrets. She looked at him, furious. You. Yes, I did upload the video, but I also uploaded this. Uncle Nizu, can you turn on the news? He asked. Nizu turned on the TV, and the news channel came on. This just in. An unknown source has uploaded a video of the president of the Hero Public Safety Commission, or HPSC, telling the staff of Aldera Middle School to bully the child of the deceased hero Inquisitor, the news anchor reported. News anchor, this is the recording that was uploaded to Facebook almost 16 minutes ago. The recording showed the HPSC president instructing the staff to bully and torment Izuku. The public was outraged, questioning whether the commission was truly upholding peace. News anchor, our analysis team has verified the authenticity of this recording. News anchor, is the HPSC genuinely protecting the peace of Japan? More on this in the later segment. News anchor, hold on, it seems our analysis team has verified another photograph. We'll put it on the screen now. The photograph revealed the aftermath of a tragic event, with the principal's head displayed at the assembly ground. Nizu turned off the TV, looking at the president, who was visibly shocked by the revelation of her wrongdoings. MP appeared stunned, worry etched on her face. Scourge laughed mockingly, how does it feel to be outsmarted by someone you deemed weak? MP stood up, pulling out a gun, pointing it at Scourge's helm. I knew I should have dealt with you when I had the chance. She fired, but Scourge caught the bullet effortlessly. Scourge examined the bullet, if you think a simple weapon can stop me, then you're more foolish than I thought. But try that again. He ejected his arm blade, aiming his cannon at the president. And I'll make everything public. Including how you let Redacted might kill my father. MP retorted, I did it because we need strong heroes, not someone like Inquisitor. Having had enough of her tantrum, Scourge grabbed her by the neck, lifting her off the ground. MP struggled, gasping for breath. As much as I want to end this. I won't, he said, releasing her. She fell to the ground, coughing. Scourge transformed into his human form. So what is it you want from me? MP got up, rubbing her neck. I saw the footage of how you healed 13, Eraserhead, and Vlad King with that crystal shard. I want you to use it to heal All Might immediately. Izuku interjected, no. MP was taken aback. What? My answer is no, Izuku stated firmly. You think I'd save the one who killed my father? I won't heal All Might, nor will I follow your orders. Turning to Uncle Nizu, he said, if there's nothing else, I'm leaving. Nizu nodded. I understand, nephew. He looked at the president, scoffing. I warned you not to mess with him. Please leave, madam, Nizu added. This isn't over, MP declared, leaving the room and slamming the door. At ground beta, Scourge fired his plasma cannon at the training pillars, causing them to crack and explode. He recalled Vlad King's words after lunch, remember, next week is the UA Sports Festival. Give it your all. Kendo questioned, is it wise to hold the sports festival right after a villain attack, sensei? Vlad King replied, we can't cancel it. That would signal to the villains that we've given up. Izuku concluded, so it must happen. Scourge thought to himself, I'll show the world what I really am. Even if it means revealing my dark side. He took out his primordial blade and sliced a training dummy in half. A week later, the sports festival began. Izuku waited in the hallway for his classmates, only to hear a familiar voice. Inko called out, Izuku, can we talk? Izuku glanced quickly and walked away. I'm not in the mood, Inko. Leave me alone. It's Mom, she insisted. I'd rather be a villain than call you Mom, he shot back. Inko, frustrated, used her quirk to stop him in place and stepped in front of him. Listen here, I am your mother, and you will do as I say. Realizing her harshness, she softened. Izuku, I'm sorry. I didn't mean. Freed from her telekinesis, Izuku kicked Inko in the stomach. She fell to her knees in pain. I wish I had never been born from your, he began, but then walked away, leaving her crying behind. I'm sorry, Izuku. I'm sorry. Inko called after him. At the stadium, spectators filled the stands, with heroes from across Japan present, including newer heroes like Impalady and Kamui Woods, as well as established pros like Endeavor and Hawks. The excitement was palpable as Present Mike began the announcement. What up my dudes and chicks? Are you excited? The crowd erupted in cheers. Without further ado, let's welcome the pride of the hero course, 1A and 1B. The participants entered the stadium, greeted by enthusiastic cheers. Kendo remarked, that's a lot of people. Pony agreed, tell me about it. The Terracons stood still, smirking. Present Mike continued, and let's not forget the rest from the Support 2 general courses. Let's give it up for them as well. As the remaining participants gathered, the announcer, the 18-plus hero Midnight, took the stage. Hey boys, she greeted, causing a stir among the male spectators. Kirishima wondered, is she even aware of what she's wearing? Tokoyami commented, that uniform must come with a warning. Mineta exclaimed, this is divine intervention. God has blessed me. The Terracons remained indifferent. Midnight announced, welcome to the UA Sports Festival. For the inauguration speech, please welcome Katsuki Bakugo. Bakugo stepped up, taking the microphone. All I'm gonna say is, I'm gonna win, you lowlife extras. The participants and spectators booed in response. Bakugo returned to his classmates, and the Terracons and Izumi thought, of course, that barking Chihuahua would say that. Midnight continued, aside from that disappointing speech, let's start the sports festival with the obstacle course. All participants, please head to the starting line. As the participants moved to the starting line, Midnight called out, on your marks. The Todoroki twins prepared their ice for a plan. The Terracons and Izumi smirked, anticipating the challenge. Get set. Midnight shouted. The participants readied themselves. Go, she commanded, cracking her whip. The Todoroki twins froze the ground, trapping the participants. WTF, they exclaimed in surprise. Izumi skillfully avoided the traps by levitating using her telekinesis quirk. The Terracons broke free from the ice, laughing confidently. They thought that would stop us. Izuku remarked, transforming into his Cybertronian form alongside Nightbird and Battletrap. They are dumber than we thought. Battletrap added, ready for action. Let's get this started, shall we? Nightbird said, her determination evident. Show them your might, Terracons. Scourge commanded as they transformed into their alt modes and sped off. Izumi watched, slightly annoyed. Show-offs, she muttered, using one for all to give herself a boost. Spectators gasped in awe. Did you see that? They turned into robots and vehicles. Is that even possible? Present Mike announced, it seems the students from 1A have an advantage. But will it help against the first obstacle? Suddenly, numerous zero-pointers emerged, blocking the path and aiming their non-lethal weapons at the participants. Robot Inferno! Present Mike shouted as the zero-pointers fired their weapons. Participants dodged the attacks using their quirks. The Todoroki twins used their fire to destroy a few zero-pointers while sliding across the field on ice. The Bakugo twins blasted into the sky, taking out more zero-pointers. I thought they would be a challenge. Izumi exclaimed, dashing at the zero-pointers and slicing through two of them with Black Whip, reminiscent of a scene from a popular series. The Terracons transformed into their Cybertronian forms and charged at the zero-pointers. Nightbird took to the sky, while Battletrap turned his arm into a machine gun and fired. Scourge used his corruption gun, causing two zero-pointers to turn on their allies. Wow! Two zero-pointers are attacking the others. Present Mike exclaimed. Aizawa explained, that's the power of Midoriya's corruption gun. Infected constructs must follow his will. Nightbird used her pulse grenades to disorient the zero-pointers, while the Terracons rushed through the field, transforming back into their alt modes to chase the lead participants. Would you look at that? Present Mike shouted. The Todoroki twins are in the lead, followed by the Bakugo twins, Izuku Yagi, and the Midoriya trio. But a canyon lay ahead, blocking their path. The Todoroki twins quickly created an ice bridge for their classmates. Wow! The Todoroki twins created a bridge. Present Mike announced. Eraserhead replied, they're using their own skills. As the participants crossed the canyon, Izumi flew across using one for all, while the Terracons used the ice bridge as a ramp, transforming mid-jump and rolling to reduce the impact. The participants are very determined to win. Present Mike commented as they approached a minefield. Don't worry. The mines won't harm you, just disorient you. Present Mike reassured. The Terracons seized the opportunity to get ahead. Nightbird flew across the minefield, while Battletrap used his wrecking ball to pull himself along. Scourge sprinted and intentionally set off a mine, causing a chain reaction that disoriented the others. As Nightbird and Battletrap raced toward the finish line, Izumi closed in behind them. Scourge fired his cannon, creating a cloud of smoke and dust, then transformed and sped ahead to reach the finish line first. And the winner of the obstacle course is Izuku Midoriya. Midnight announced, as the spectators cheered. Afterward, Izuku leaned against a wall, enjoying a drink when Lita snatched it away. Give it back, Lita. If you wish to have kids. Izuku warned, his eyes blazing. Lita accused him of cheating, but Izuku was fed up. He summoned dark energon flames and confronted Lita, who quickly backed down. Izuku then walked away, leaving Lita behind, and soon the cavalry battle began. In a quick summary, Izuku, as the winner, chose Izumi, Nightbird, Battletrap, and Kendo for his team, capturing the headbands of 12 teams and securing first place, with the Bakugo twins in second and the Todoroki twins in third. Soon it was time for the final event, the Battle Royale. Present Mike announced with excitement, "Well, I hope you're enjoying this show." "Because I am." The spectators cheered in response. Now from the general course, it's the integration genius with a cold glare. Here's Hitoshi Shinso. Hitoshi entered the ring with a stoic expression. And fighting him. It's the mechatronic warrior of 1B. Give it up for Izuku Midoriya. Izuku walked up to the edge of the ring and jumped in. As the crowd cheered, Midnight looked at Hitoshi and asked, "Ready?" He nodded. She then turned to Izuku. "Ready?" He nodded and cracked his neck, signaling he was prepared. "Fight!" Midnight cracked her whip and stepped back. Hitoshi began, "So you're the one that faced the monster at the USJ, huh?" Izuku circled him, assessing the situation. Hitoshi continued, "It must be nice knowing you have such a powerful quirk along with your siblings." Izuku thought to himself, recognizing Hitoshi's calm yet hypnotic voice. He suspected Hitoshi had a quirk that could manipulate others, similar to Detective Naomesa's. But you don't know what suffering is, do you? To be treated like something broken, thrown away? Hitoshi challenged. Izuku felt the weight of Hitoshi's words but remained focused. Hitoshi added in a low voice, "I guess your sister wouldn't mind if I had my way with her." In response, Izuku transformed into his human-sized Cybertronian form, towering over Hitoshi. Taken aback, Hitoshi tried to regain his composure and taunted, "You think you're some big shot, huh? I bet your family never loved you." The spectators gasped, some booing Hitoshi. Izuku's companion, Scourge, began to feel a surge of emotions as Hitoshi's words echoed in his mind. In a fit of rage, Scourge let out a roar that shattered nearby windows. Scourge approached Hitoshi, who was regretting his choice of words. "Wait. Let's not do anything rash," Hitoshi started, but Scourge grabbed him by the neck. "You're not better than me," Scourge declared, head-butting Hitoshi. Hitoshi, shocked, questioned how Scourge was resisting his quirk. "That's for me to know and for you to find out," Scourge replied, releasing Hitoshi and transforming back. Hitoshi, furious, threw a punch, but Izuku blocked it and countered with a strong left hook. Hitoshi stumbled back, screaming in pain. Izuku pressed forward, delivering a series of punches to Hitoshi's abdomen. Hitoshi attempted to retaliate, but Izuku trapped his arm and landed a sucker punch, causing Hitoshi to bend forward in pain. The spectators reacted with gasps as Izuku dislocated Hitoshi's shoulder. Izuku tossed Hitoshi aside, showing no remorse. Hitoshi desperately clutched his shoulder as Izuku approached, throwing another punch. Hitoshi blocked it but defiantly spat in Izuku's face. Unfazed, Izuku continued his assault, trapping Hitoshi's arm and landing more punches. Hitoshi struggled to keep up, and Izuku delivered a final headbutt, sending Hitoshi staggering back. With blood dripping from his face, Hitoshi looked up at Izuku, who prepared for the final blow. Hitoshi tried to fight back, but Izuku swiftly landed a powerful uppercut, sending Hitoshi tumbling out of bounds. The crowd erupted in cheers for Izuku as Midnight declared, "Hitoshi Shinso is out of the bounds. And the winner is Izuku Midoriya." Izuku raised his arms in victory, while the match continued with Izuku's final opponent being Katsumi Bakugo. As they took their places in the ring, Midnight asked Katsumi if she was ready. She nodded, and then turned to Izuku, who also confirmed he was ready. "Fight!" Midnight announced, and the battle commenced. Izuku transformed into his human-sized Cybertronian form, aiming his plasma cannon at Katsumi. Katsumi quickly dodged his shots and retaliated with explosions. Unfazed, Izuku charged at her, but she skillfully moved to the side, trying to counterattack. Scourge grabbed Katsumi by the neck, lifting her off the ground. She struggled to break free, but with encouragement from her brother Bakugo and their classmates, she summoned her strength. In a swift move, Katsumi kicked Scourge in the face, causing him to stumble back. As she got back on her feet, the battle intensified, with both fighters showcasing their skills and determination. Katsumi crashed onto her back, wincing in pain as she felt a trickle of blood from her forehead. Scourge crouched down to pick up his mask, standing up to examine it with a scoff. "All that to reveal my face," he remarked, noticing Katsumi's shocked expression at his exposed face. "Do you know what 10 years of hardship does to you?" he exclaimed, his voice filled with emotion. "Witness your work." "Mother," he added softly. Katsumi stammered, "The demon." "Yes, I am a demon. A demon of your own creation." Scourge shouted, rushing towards her and launching a series of attacks. In desperation, Katsumi fired an explosion at him, but Scourge quickly dodged and retaliated with punches. Katsumi managed to fire another explosion, causing him to stumble back. He quickly recovered and aimed his cannon at her. As Katsumi prepared to go over the bounds, Scourge yanked her back and used all his strength to uppercut her, sending her flying out of the ring. She crashed outside, covered in bruises. Midnight announced, "Katsumi Bakugo is out of the bounds. And the winner is Izuku Midoriya." The crowd erupted in cheers, and Izuku let out a roar of victory. Soon, it was time for the award ceremony, and the top 3 contestants took their places on the pedestal. Midnight began to speak, building anticipation among the spectators. "And to start it, it's none other than..." All Might declared, stepping in front of the top 3, eliciting loud cheers from the crowd. Izuku and Izumi exchanged glances, both thinking about All Might's presence. All Might approached Katsuki, who was being held back by staff for safety. "Young Bakugo, for your determination and prowess, I give you this," he said, placing a medal around Katsuki's neck. "I hope you become an aspiring hero in the future." Katsuki thought to himself, feeling frustrated that he wasn't in first place. All Might then walked over to Izumi. "Young Yagi, for your wits, brilliance, and ingenuity with your quirk, I give you this," he said, placing a medal on her and expressing his pride. "Thank you, All Might-san." Izumi replied, feeling a mix of emotions. Finally, All Might approached Izuku. "And to you, young Midoriya, for your might, strength, and skill, I'm proud to bestow this upon you," he said, placing a medal around Izuku's neck and giving him a hug. Izuku, despite his mixed feelings, reciprocated the gesture. Midnight encouraged the crowd, "Let's give it up for this year's sports festival's top 3. The spectators cheered in response. All Might counted down, on 3. 3. Go beyond. The crowd roared, and plus ultra. 3 weeks later, in Class 1B, the students were chatting about their experiences during the break when Vlad King entered. "Today is the day you will be interning with heroes," he announced. "Your forms will arrive after lunch." The students acknowledged him, and Vlad King continued, "All right. With that out of the way, let's start the class." Izuku, Izumi, and Kendo began discussing their 2-week break. Before Kendo could share her stories, Izumi asked Izuku to sing a song. "Oni-chan, can you sing that song you sang back then?" she requested. Kendo was surprised. "Wait, Midoriya. You can sing." Izumi chimed in, "But you sing so well." Kendo added, "I'd like to hear you sing, if that's alright with you, Midoriya." Izuku hesitated, "Kendo, I don't sing that well. Besides, Please." Kendo pleaded, using her best puppy eyes. Izuku tried to resist but eventually relented. "Alright, fine." Izumi and Kendo cheered happily. Izuku used his powers to create self-operating musical instruments and cleared his throat before starting to sing a song about resilience and struggle. As he finished, the cafeteria erupted in cheers for him. Izuku was taken aback, feeling appreciated by his classmates. "That was a nice song, brother." Battletrap exclaimed. Exactly. It was amazing. How did you even learn to sing like that? Nightbird asked. Izuku explained, I always sing to myself as a way of coping. I guess it kinda became my thing. Kendo, blushing slightly, asked, Midoriya? Can you sing one more time? Sure, Kendo, he replied, preparing for his next song when suddenly, a soda can was thrown at him. Without looking, he crushed it effortlessly. Really, Lita? Is this what you wish to do? So pitifully childish, Izuku said, turning to face Lita. Shut up, Yagi. You have the nerve to taint this holy place with your presence. You should just stay in the sidelines. Lita retorted, pulling out a photo that provoked Izuku's anger. Izuku stood there, his mind clouded by rage, transforming into his powerful form as he confronted Lita. You did what? He demanded. Lita exclaimed that Scourge's father deserved to die, calling him a lowly hero who amounted to nothing. Scourge, unable to contain his anger, struck Lita in the stomach, sending him crashing against the wall. Despite Lita's injuries, Scourge charged at him again, but Lita managed to dodge the attack just in time. As Scourge crashed into the wall, he noticed a red-haired teenager, Kirishima, and angrily demanded silence, grabbing Kirishima by the head and throwing him toward Izumi, Battletrap, and Nightbird, instructing them to keep him there. Scourge then turned his attention back to Lita, grabbing his leg and reminding him that he hadn't forgotten their conflict. Lita shouted at Scourge, expressing his frustration about his persistence. Scourge, tired of the argument, threw Lita aside, but he was caught mid-air by Telek and All Might, who had just arrived. Scourge taunted them, noting their presence as parents. Inko pleaded with Izuku, saying they were doing this for his own good, while All Might warned them not to make them hurt anyone. Scourge brandished the improved primordial blade, ready for a confrontation, but was interrupted by Nizu's voice urging him to stop. Nizu, perched on Aizawa's shoulder, implored Scourge to consider what his father would want. Scourge began to calm down, but Mina interrupted with her own plea, insisting that they still hoped to save him from the darkness in his heart. Jiro echoed her sentiment, reminding him that they still loved him. Scourge laughed at their words, revealing his deep-seated hatred for them and their friends. He transformed into his human form and confronted them, expressing how they had made him suffer for years. Izuku defended himself, questioning what his sin was, while Bakugo and Shoto accused him of looking down on them. Izuku expressed his admiration for Katsuki in the past, but now saw him as a demon in human flesh. Lita tried to intervene, but Izuku declared he was not their SLV. As he looked around, he realized everyone shared his feelings and decided to show them a holographic projection of his past. The audience witnessed the terrible experiences Izuku endured, leading to a mix of reactions. Some cried, others felt sick, and many were filled with rage toward the tormentors. As the projection ended, the tormentors tried to restrain Izuku, but the students rallied against them, calling them fakes and monsters. Nizu encouraged the students to handle the situation as they saw fit, and they prepared to confront the tormentors. Ibara, usually against violence, quickly bound the tormentors with her vines. Bakugo and Shoto attempted to escape, but Izumi lifted them into the air and crashed them down. In the chaos, Inko managed to free herself and others, and the students pursued the tormentors. Suddenly, Izuku fell to his knees, screaming in agony. Kendo rushed to his side, concerned about his well-being. Izuku begged them not to hurt Mikey, revealing his distress over a traumatic memory. Izumi realized he was having an episode and explained to the others that Mikey was a puppy Izuku had adopted, who had tragically died shortly after. Kendo couldn't hold back her tears for Izuku, while Izumi comforted her, acknowledging the pain he had suffered. Nightbird assessed Izuku's condition and reassured them he was fine, just overwhelmed by past trauma. Battletrap suggested taking Izuku to their place to rest, and Nizu approved, allowing them to leave school together. They opened a portal to their cabin, determined to care for Izuku and help him find peace. Soon after the events at UA, the actions of All Might and Telek were exposed on multiple social platforms by Nightbird and Izumi. The public was stunned to learn that the heroes they admired were not what they seemed, leading to widespread condemnation. While some doubted the authenticity of the claims, the evidence quickly proved otherwise. The backlash against the couple was intense, with many in the community openly criticizing them as they were pursued by UA students and staff. This news also reached the criminal underworld, where villains were both shocked and pleased that a significant obstacle had been removed. However, Blackout reacted differently than the others and retreated to a dimly lit room. Kneeling, Blackout addressed the memory of his fallen friends, expressing his sorrow that they could not witness the downfall of those who had wronged them. He stood up to reveal a shrine dedicated to them, vowing to avenge their deaths and promising not to rest until he had made All Might pay for his actions. With determination, he put on his mask and left the room. Meanwhile, in the HPSC building meeting room, the atmosphere was tense. The MP slammed her hands on the desk, demanding to know how the public had learned about the heroes' misdeeds. An assistant informed her that the information had been leaked by an unknown source, causing her to realize who was behind it. Just then, an employee burst in to announce that the Prime Minister was making a significant statement. On television, the Prime Minister declared that All Might and Telek were no longer heroes and would face strict house arrest, followed by sentencing for their crimes. He signed the paperwork that revoked their hero licenses, leading to the loss of their possessions and status. The Prime Minister also announced the dissolution of the HPSC, which would be replaced by the International Hero Committee, shocking the MP and her staff. As IHC soldiers entered the room to arrest them, the HPSC president and her supporters were taken to The Hague to answer for their actions, while those who opposed her were offered positions in the new committee. Meanwhile, Izuku woke up to find out what had transpired during his unconsciousness. He requested some time alone, but Kendo chose to stay. Kendo confessed her feelings for Izuku, revealing that she liked him romantically since he saved her from the zero-pointer. Izuku was surprised and questioned why she would choose someone like him, feeling like a burden to those around him. Kendo reassured him that she saw him differently and was willing to face the world with him, no matter the challenges they might encounter. As they shared a moment of connection, Kendo leaned in and kissed Izuku, leaving him momentarily speechless. She reiterated that she didn't care about the world's judgment and asked if he would go out with her. With a smile, Izuku agreed, and Kendo asked him to call her Itsuka. In a nearby hospital, the girls of Class 1A were feeling a mix of emotions, wondering about Izuku's loyalty and their own feelings for him. Chapter 11, The Internship Attack. A week after the events of Chapter 10, Nizu gave everyone the week off to calm their nerves following the recent fiasco involving All Might, Telek, and the HPSC. After Izuku and Kendo started dating, Izuku wanted no secrets between them, so he revealed the truth about his powers. Kendo was surprised but promised to keep it a secret. Many were happy for them, except for a few, including Kendo's ex. Now, Izuku walked through the halls with a smile on his face, thinking of his girlfriend, Itsuka Kendo. As he entered the classroom, he saw Kendo sitting at her desk and greeted her. "Morning, Itsu," he said with a cheerful tone. Kendo looked up and smiled back. "Morning, Izuku." "What's Itsu?" she asked, curious. "Oh, nothing. Just a nickname for my beautiful girlfriend," he replied playfully. Kendo blushed slightly, a smile spreading across her face. "Oh, you." Soon, the rest of the class arrived and waited for their homeroom teacher. However, Izuku felt that something was off. Before he could figure it out, Vlad King entered the classroom. "Good morning, class. I hope you all enjoyed your week off," Vlad King announced. "Now, as you know, today marks the start of your internships with the heroes. But first, we have a new student joining us. Please come in." Monoma interjected, "But sensei, isn't it too late for students to be here?" "True, but this student proved themselves worthy of being here." "Come on in," Vlad King replied. Izumi stepped into the classroom, greeting everyone. "Hello, everyone. I'm Izumi, formerly associated with the Yagis and Class 1A. I hope we can be. Monoma interrupted, no way. I'm not being a part of this class if she's here. Izuku, feeling protective, summoned his primordial blade and aimed it at the back of Monoma's neck. Oi. That bitch is one of the few people who treated me like a human being. If you have a problem, pack your bags and go home. It's alright, Oni-chan. I can handle this, Izumi said calmly. Monoma retorted, I'll have you know I'm very strong and have a girlfriend. Izumi smirked. And let me guess, it's your right hand. The class chuckled, and Vlad King laughed a bit before regaining his composure. Alright, Izumi, you can sit beside your brother. Yes, sensei, Izumi said, moving to sit near Izuku and Kendo. Vlad King continued, now, it's time for you to select the hero with whom you wish to intern. But first, you need to. Midnight entered the class, playfully threatening them. Pick your hero names or there will be trouble. She cracked her whip for emphasis. After a few moments, everyone chose their hero names and the heroes they wished to intern with. Izuku and his team asked for permission to use their quirks to meet the heroes they wanted to intern with, which Vlad King granted due to the enthusiastic All Might fans. Outside of UA, Izuku was preparing to use his powers when he was suddenly hugged from behind by none other than Momo Yaoyorozu. What the? Get off me, he exclaimed, surprised. No. You're mine. You're my hubby. Momo insisted, not letting go. Izuku, feeling overwhelmed, elbowed her stomach and turned to push her away. I'm not your property, he shouted. Momo, confused, pleaded, why don't you see the truth? I'm better than that tomboy. Izuku transformed part of his arm into his Cybertronian form and firmly held her. She sees me as a human being. She's someone I would risk my life to save. Momo's heart sank at his words. And no. She's manipulating you. She's a villain. Don't call my girlfriend a villain. Izuku snapped, releasing Momo and walking away. Momo burst into tears, calling out for him. Izuku transformed into his Cybertronian form and then into his alt mode, ready to move on. Scourge contacted Kendo. Itsu, meet at the front in 15 minutes. Okay, just need to put on my suit, Kendo replied. Alright, love you, Scourge said before they met up. After a brief drive, Kendo parked, and Izuku transformed back into his human form. Are you sure this is the place? Kendo asked, looking around. Izuku checked his phone for Mirko's message. This is the place, though I expected it to be more professional. Just then, Mirko appeared behind them and attempted to kick Izuku. He quickly transformed and caught her leg, throwing her against the wall. Well, you don't disappoint, do you? Mirko said, getting back up. Scourge replied, I prefer to keep my guard up at all times. Kendo asked, was attacking him really necessary? He can rival All Might in his prime. Yes, it was, Mirko said, cracking her back. Now, get in. Scourge transformed back and followed Kendo inside, with Mirko close behind. Their training began, and Mirko instructed them to fight her. Thanks to Scourge's past as a vigilante, he was able to trap Mirko, with Kendo helping to exhaust her for the trap to work. As night fell, the three were seen patrolling the city in their hero costumes. Suddenly, Scourge spotted a burning building. Mirko, there's a building on fire, and Backdraft is trying to control the flames. Permission to help him? Granted. Meet me in Battle Fist on 15th Street after you're done, Mirko replied. Thank you, Mirko, Scourge said before transforming and heading towards Backdraft, who was struggling to put out the fire. Backdraft. Can I be of assistance? Scourge called out. Fire and rescue are securing the civilians trapped inside, but the foundation is becoming unstable. We need something to hold the building together. Backdraft explained. I can help, Scourge said, summoning the primordial blade and using it to secure the foundations. Scourge called out to Backdraft, seeking permission to enter the burning building to rescue civilians and first responders. Backdraft granted him access, assuring him he would manage the flames. As Scourge sprinted towards the structure, the fire intensified. Transforming into his human-sized Cybertronian form, he forcefully opened the door. Hearing a woman scream from the first floor, Scourge quickly ascended the stairs. Upon reaching the floor, he spotted the trapped civilians and first responders. "Everyone, follow me," he instructed, and they complied. He led them through the smoke and flames, successfully bringing them outside. Scanning the group for injuries, he found none. Turning back to Backdraft, Scourge transformed into his full Cybertronian form. "The civilians and first responders are safe and unharmed, but I recommend a thorough checkup," he reported. Backdraft thanked him for his assistance. Just then, an explosion caught Scourge's attention. He looked around to see multiple Nomus rampaging near the burning building, alongside the warp gate from the USJ and Blackout. He noticed the newly appointed number 1 hero, Endeavor, and Dobby struggling against the Nomus. Grabbing his primordial blade, Scourge sprinted toward them. Endeavor and Dobby were doing their best to fend off the creatures. "I can't hold them for long," Dobby exclaimed. Scourge fired his cannon, incinerating a Nomu. Endeavor was taken aback. "What just happened?" he asked. "I happened," Scourge replied, kneeling to speak with them. "It's me, but in this form, call me Scourge." Dobby questioned the nature of the Nomus, and Scourge explained they were soulless beings created from the corpses of people with quirks that could counter Tashinori Yagi. "So, they're just mindless monsters?" Endeavor asked. Scourge confirmed that destroying their exposed brains would stop them permanently. Dobby suggested burning them until their brains were gone, and Scourge agreed. Suddenly, a voice chimed in, "You can say that again." Scourge turned to see his brother and sisters arriving to assist. Battletrap declared they could handle the situation, while Izumi mentioned tips she received from Grandpa Torino about utilizing One for All. Nightbird alerted them that the hero killer, Stain, was on the move. Scourge sighed, asking for permission to pursue Stain. Endeavor hesitated but ultimately granted it, advising him to take his squad along with Green Slate. "Thank you, Terracons. Show them your might." Scourge transformed into his alt mode alongside Battletrap and Nightbird, and they sped off towards the hero killer. Meanwhile, in an alleyway, Lita was paralyzed by Stain's quirk, and the hero he interned with, Manuel, was losing blood. Just as Stain was about to strike Lita down, he was blasted in the chest, crashing to the ground. "What happened?" Lita exclaimed, confused. Scourge, in his human-sized form, aimed his cannon at Stain, declaring he had saved Lita. Stain, recovering, remarked on Scourge's size, but Scourge remained on guard, refusing to let flattery distract him. Stain offered a deal: if Scourge let him kill Lita, he might spare him. Scourge declined, stating he had promised his true family never to return to his past. Stain drew his katanas, challenging Scourge to a fight. Scourge rushed at him, and their weapons clashed, creating sparks. As they fought, Scourge attempted to grab Stain but missed. Stain evaded and tried to slice Scourge, but Scourge countered with his arm blade. Eventually, Scourge caught one of Stain's katanas and snapped it in half. Izumi, patching up Lita and Manuel, scolded Lita for confronting Stain, who had previously harmed his brother. Lita, angered, shouted about wanting revenge, but Izumi's glare silenced him. Nightbird and Battletrap, in their human-sized forms, prepared to intervene. Scourge continued to battle Stain, who struggled to land a hit. Stain managed to stab Scourge with a remaining katana, but Scourge quickly threw him to the ground. As Stain groaned in pain, Scourge warned him to stay down. Stain, refusing to give up, revealed knowledge about Scourge's father, claiming he had helped Stain's family in the past. Just as Scourge was about to inquire further, Manuel suggested they detain Stain. Suddenly, Lita broke free and threatened them with grenades, disregarding the danger to everyone around. Stain quickly got up and used a trash can lid to deflect the grenades toward Lita, managing to redirect only one. Manuel. Scourge shouted as he tried to catch a grenade, but Manuel suddenly dove in front of it. Saving you both, Manuel smirked, his thoughts lingering on his love. The grenade exploded, tragically taking Manuel's life, while the deflected grenade landed near Lita, gravely injuring him. Everyone present felt a mix of sadness over the loss of a true hero and anger toward Lita for his reckless pursuit of justice. Izumi, furious, started to move toward Lita, but was suddenly grabbed by a winged Nomu. "Let me go," she exclaimed. Just then, Stain threw a knife, striking the Nomu and allowing Izumi to escape. "Why, you saved me." "Thank you," she said, looking at Stain, who simply nodded before losing consciousness and collapsing to the ground. Scourge transformed into his human form and turned to Nightbird. "Is he all right?" "He's fine, just exhausted," Nightbird replied after scanning Stain. Izumi pointed toward Lita, who was screaming in agony. "I don't think we can say the same about him. My foot. My knee. My quirk. My career." Lita cried out. Battle Trap, tired of the rant, fired a rubber projectile at Lita's head, knocking him out. "Should we heal him or let the doctors handle it?" Izumi asked. "Let the doctors save him, but I doubt they will," Izuku replied. Nightbird handed Izuku Lita's phone, which had a cracked screen. "We found this. He's been in contact with Blackout since UA started." Izuku read through the messages, then crushed the phone in his hand, having copied the messages to his own device. "So he's the traitor. I had a feeling it would be him." Izumi and the others nodded in agreement. The attack ended with multiple Nomas destroyed, but Kurogiri and Blackout managed to escape. Stain and Lita were detained. The only casualties were some police officers and Manuel, whose death was a result of Lita's misguided actions. Izuku and his team presented the messages to Endeavor and Dabi, revealing Lita's responsibility for Manuel's death. The Japanese ICH Commission took Lita away to Tartarus, where he would spend the rest of his life without his quirk. Many students from Class 1A protested for Lita's release, but their efforts were in vain. His family disowned him, and he now used a wheelchair. Deep down, Izuku felt guilt for Manuel's death, knowing he had made a choice he couldn't change. Later, Izuku sat on a couch with Kendo beside him, trying to distract himself from the recent events. "What good is this?" he sighed. "Please, Izuku, it's not your fault," Kendo began. "Yes, it is," he interrupted. "We're trained to protect people, heroes, civilians, everything. What good is it to have the power to rival every hero if you can't save one person? The world is cruel, and fate is cruel, but where we fail, we rise to be stronger than before." "Manuel knew that," Kendo replied. Izuku let out a small laugh. "Since when did you become a scholar?" "Oh, you big baby," she playfully punched his shoulder. "I wasn't always this shy and timid." "And you love me for it," he said, leaning in to kiss her. Kendo kissed him back, and after a moment, they broke apart. "How can I ever repay you for thawing my icy heart?" he asked. Kendo thought for a moment and smiled. "You and me on a date." "As you command, my love," he replied. "Oi. Can you stop with that lovey-dovey stuff? I'm trying to eat." Mirko called out. "At least I have this Adonis of a man," Kendo shot back, "while you're still single." Izuku blushed at the comment. Mirko, taken aback, decided to retreat to her room. Kendo turned to Izuku. "What?" "Just thinking about how I'm the luckiest man alive," he said, smiling.